Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
The crossover is brought to you by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlowconcrete.com.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Huh? What?
Hey,
Hey.
I haven't seen you in a while in person.
I know. I thought I got a blackballed
No.
from here, but that's okay.
Well, I think we all work.
Whoa.
So,
Hey. What does that
I'm
mean?
walking in. Hey, gabagool.
No days off. No days off.
No days
Mm-mm.
off.
Mm-mm.
So, Blue Jay shoot around about to begin. Seems
Yeah,
to be
this is
a
gonna be
little
the-
lengthy before a DePaul game.
This is, well, DePaul, known for their Big East quality. We got to get at least a full day in there before we can get going. They almost did it. They almost got Marquette. Almost. People
That was
forget.
painful. That was painful to watch. And it wasn't even, by the way, they got helped out so much too. That was nowhere near a goaltending. They get bailed out. I was watching that game.
I don't know about that.
Oh, DePaul got bailed out because they got 2 points, and then like they wouldn't, that game wouldn't have gone into overtime.
Do you know what? That what makes college basketball great. At the end of games where they have these reviews, it's pretty cool. You could have a drinking game. Like you start with a drink at the beginning of the review, and more than likely, you're not going to have to pound it. But by the time they get done, look for the review. You will have already drank your beer.
There was a review
that's
in
fair.
Michigan versus Northwestern. I go, okay, good time to take out the trash. So I took out the trash, and then I came back, and they were in a different review. They had gone back to the action.
The end of that game was ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
College basketball is one of the best sports that you could put on at like any time and get a lot of things done during it. It's because
Not
at
as-
the end of a half, at any point, like Nebraska ball yesterday, I was making pancakes, cutting up some fruit, kept turning over my shoulder. Same score as always. Never changed. 5, 10, 15 minutes didn't matter. It was still in the 60s. I didn't have to look up. I didn't have to look at it.
I built a table, a vacuum, cleaned the house, had 2 different meals, and got ready for this show.
Are you Amish?
No.
That is a crazy amount of.
It was a lot of productivity
tasks
yesterday.
to
Yeah,
overcome.
and I got a workout in between all that as well. I love my gym. Some people are afraid at a gym with a TV to grab the remote and change the channel. Or
Some
whatnot.
people are.
I am not.
Not you.
I am not one of those
Not Matt.
people. I grab the
Matt ain't
remote. I
afraid.
go, okay, we're going to go to the football game. Oh, it's on the post game. I just lasted back to the Big Ten network. So I was like the dad, like on the couch,
Yeah.
but I was at the gym. I was going back and forth between 2 games.
Did you put the hand on the hip?
No,
point it?
I would get
You
up and I would
3-point
do
stand it?
And
There
then
you
at
go.
one point, no one was there, so I turned up the volume, and so I just took out the headphones.
I don't know
and
about that.
No, I made myself.
That's ludicrous.
I made myself at home. It's the
I'm
gym.
happy for you.
Thank you.
Is it your home gym?
Yes, it's my apartment gym.
So you were at home.
No. It's my apartment. It's people who live at the apartment.
See, that's
Like, in the
different. If this is a
complex.
commercial gym, this is much different.
It's like you can't
you're
work
probably
out there.
going. You're doing life if you do that.
Yeah,
Yep.
you can't. It's not a public gym, but like if you live in the complex.
yeah,
you
but
can
like
work out
Meathead
there.
Larry's not coming down to like
No.
change the channel. Like
No.
you're going against like
We're not-
elliptical Sue
Yes.
and like the different walking treadmill.
There's a lot.
Terry's
There's
and all
no,
those people.
There's no banging and clanging at the
Yeah,
gym on
right.
that.
Except
There's a
you.
lot.
You're probably throwing weight around.
No.
Aren't you? Hang clean, deadlift.
No.
Do people come up to you in the gym? They're like, what professional sport do you play?
I'm on the machines. And I'm just doing the machines, doing the lat, doing the
Calf
back.
raise?
Dude, no, my calves are massive. I don't need to do
Mm.
legs. I did hockey for
Good.
15 years. There's no need to do legs.
Whoa. Is that how you build big calves? Is hockey?
Hockey. You want a big butt?
Good
You
to know.
play hockey.
Big butt, big calves hockey.
Hockey.
No.
What a discussion.
How many hockey players do you know that have a big derriere?
Every one of them.
You've been staring at the hockey player?
I was in a hockey locker room for half my life.
It was like bakery, just cake everywhere.
Everywhere.
I
Love it.
I have seen
That's
Sidney
good.
Crosby
That's
naked.
good stuff.
It's great.
Whoa,
stuff.
hey, whoa.
Whoa,
Hold on.
whoa.
What did
Backtrack.
you say?
A lot
What
of
do you
follow-up
mean?
questions here.
Did it when was it like
You've
when
I've
you
seen
saw
a
it?
lot of grown men naked.
Me too.
That's,
You go into locker rooms.
well, you do what? You go to a YMCA, so that makes sense.
don't go to a YMCA.
And, well, you also did pickleball lessons this summer, didn't you? So
Yes.
this all adds up.
But that would be
It's
awkward,
all
like if
coming
they had a
together.
changing room and you felt like you got a shower after a pickleball match. No.
Do you
So-
shower after pickleball? Do you put in that much effort that you're showering after pickleball?
Oh, if you are big in the pickle, yeah, you're showering.
big in the
after.
pickle.
Big in the
we've
pickle.
now cut it in half. We've
Mhm.
now nicknamed pickleball.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great. Better than pickle than ball, I guess. You like ball?
I'm big like a pickle. But
Nice,
here's
Gary.
the situation.
Like
Like,
Sidney Crosby big like a pickle?
okay, so
It'd be disappointing if this was a no.
Yeah,
because
this is the hardest hitting information. I think
you know what?
I need to know how big his pickle.
It really
is.
was. No, he was wearing.
How big into pickle was Sydney?
He was wearing shorts.
And you could
from a gherkin,
but
from
I
a
would-
gherkin to a dill.
But I spent a lot of time in the locker room in hockey when I was with the Penguins.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you'd see a lot of guys naked.
and they don't care.
Now the only no, because you're walking into their element.
Yeah.
You got to put up with it.
Exactly.
And most guys though they cover up or they dress before they do an interview. So they're very respectful of the men and women that are in the locker room.
Oh no, I'm familiar. I'm a Carolina Panther fan. Cam Newton always dressed up.
That's true, like he is today.
Whoa.
The only player that I ever interviewed completely naked, and people will get this reference, because I almost went. Dan Alexander, former Nebraska running back. So I had to do the locker room show, and Dan would always be one of the last guys, and I would say, "Hey Dan, can we do an interview?" And Dan didn't like to wear clothes, and so I learned how to adapt. Because he'd go, "Hey, why don't you sit down right next to me?"
Yeah, there you go. Eyes up. Yep.
I was like, "Okay." I was like,
Yeah,
but I've seen
pickle.
in clubhouses and locker rooms, I've seen a lot of guys naked. It's
From-
not a big deal.
From a gherkin to pickle Rick. What was Sidney Crosby? Was he like one that you
No.
put on a hot
Where
dog?
did you find him? Where did he he's full of references. I'm not even following some of these.
I would.
A
Sidney-
gherkin is just a small.
No, I can understand.
I have no idea.
Listen, I talk
Sidney
pickle.
was
I
wearing-
get it. I understand.
Sidney was wearing
I talk
compression
ball.
shorts.
I talk ball and pickle.
I talk ball and pickle.
Pickle Rick is from Rick
but
and
you're
Morty.
just
No, I get that.
sweeping generalization that hockey players have big butts.
No.
It's not true.
It is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, a lot of the guys that I played with, I played a lot of hockey with a lot of people. There was a lot of dudes with big butts.
So what are we talking like Michael Pierce of the Ravens or what?
I'm talking like the kids, like growing up, like we all had bigger butts than the average human.
I didn't have that experience.
So you were born with them because you were born to play hockey, like Herb Brooks said?
you know how you skate, you
Micah
extend the
Ruzioni?
gluteus maximus all the way out.
Ooh, getting an anatomical.
Yes.
Respect.
And so that way the
Doesn't
edge,
you add
your
muscle
edges,
and you cut off?
your edges can reach as far back as possible when you push off to the ice and then you retract. So you're just doing this. You're basically, those machines that all those chicks do at the
The
gym?
one that's at your gym. Yeah.
Yes, right. This where they're just pushing back over and forward like that.
Yes.
What the?
This is a visual medium for
Yes,
sure. Yes,
absolutely.
Good thing that
We're on
camera
radio.
doesn't go lower. I'm not sure what you're doing. But that does not increase. If you want to increase your butt as a woman, they have shots for that stuff.
That is true.
Yes.
Or they have
And-
implants.
Yeah, that's right. You
know
can
what?
go to
It's
Brazil.
you're not doing that exercise to get a bigger butt.
It's getting tougher to work out at gyms nowadays, by the way.
Yeah,
How
because
come?
someone keeps changing the channel every time I want to go over. It's ridiculous.
I want to listen to my music, and Booger McFarland is blaring.
Okay,
over
let's not hate on Booger. He's turned a corner. I like Booger.
how
now.
many corners has he had to take in order to restore what he's done?
How many corners? Not 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years.
Once he got out of the crane lift on Monday Night Football, I started to respect Booger McFarland a little bit more. That was a
Hey,
great time period,
hey,
though, right?
Don't hate the booger, hate the crane.
I don't know
Mhm.
if I'm at Malibu Beach or I'm at the gym half the time with just the lack of clothing from both male and female that is happening.
You
at
looking up
gyms.
and down the
I
clientele?
am looking down. I am not looking up.
So you are just looking
I
at
am
the
straight-
backsides.
I am straight down into the floor.
You're just full Sir Mix-a-Lot. You're just looking at all the behinds down there.
No,
Nice.
no behinds.
Nice,
And no
dude.
mixers and no
Nice.
zalots.
That's great.
I'm just saying.
It's
It's
dropped the Sir Mix-a-Lot.
it's I don't know when
I
you go-
have to go like a generation higher than he is because he's making references that are just out of reach for me. We are just enough out of age
we're
distance.
touching tips in terms of references.
Pickle tips.
Pickle tips.
Pickle
You
tips.
play pickle?
Yeah.
You play ball?
You need some tips on pickle?
You never answered the question. Crosby, big pickle, little pickle, dill pickle?
Can you pickle in Crocs, Gary?
You definitely can.
I have
I
not
feel like you could.
pickled in Crocs. I wore tennis shoes, regular athletic tennis shoes.
Are you a Crocs guy?
No.
I'm on
You
the,
say that with such fervor.
Yeah.
Why?
You could
You
be-
anti-Croc?
You
No.
Why?
You never wear
I
a
have been
Croc
gifted. I've been gifted
A lot of
with
things.
what alligator feet? Like you're better than them?
No, I don't like wearing shoes.
Oh,
But I've
that's
been given
disgusting.
Uggs and they're like, hey, wear them around the
Well,
house. And I'm like, I'm not
Austin,
a slipper guy.
Austin, his
Mm.
house is 90 degrees. You don't want to wear socks.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Forgot YMCA, Gary.
yeah.
I wear comfortable shoes. I don't need to
I'm
wear
on the
Crocs.
email. I'm on the email list for when the Batman Crocs re-release because they're out of stock. But when they come back in, I'm going to get the email and I got to go right away and buy the Crocs.
I think it's disrespectful, like in a professional setting, like the radio station, for people to wear Crocs. But if you're like a nurse,
Is that a shot at anybody?
That's a shot at me because I wore Crocs
Okay.
here over the summer when I was
wear-
coming in. Now it's cold out, Gary. I do have fleece lined Crocs, by the way, but I chose not to wear them today.
I have
Those are for shoveling snow. I'll have you know.
I have Lightning McQueen Crocs.
Respect.
That's my
Ka-chow.
hero. Ka-chow. And then also camo Crocs.
Camo Crocs.
And then I have a nice pair of yellow Crocs that I'm looking at that I haven't bought yet. But
Why
they're
do
on
you
my
need
radar.
multiple pairs of Crocs?
Because
Doesn't
you gotta
one
crop-
get the job
you
done?
gotta crop
if-
it up,
if-
Odson. Why don't you have multiple pairs of Crocs?
If we're Croc talking right now, I also own 3 pairs of Crocs. I've got my Bush Light Crocs.
Yes.
Those are for going out to impress. I've got my stay-at-home tan Crocs. They've been beat up a little bit, but they're good for the radio station. I've also got my fleece line Crocs that are only good for the winter.
Everybody's got 3 pairs of Crocs. They got the weird
No, they don't.
animated.
You think someone from Des Moines would have at least a pair of Crocs?
So you got 3 pairs of Crocs.
Yeah.
You have your worn out Crocs that you wear too much that are basically broken. You have your cool collector item Croc, you know, that you don't wear a lot, but when you do wear them out, people are like, oh my God, those are cool. And then you have your fancy Crocs, like the new, you don't wear a lot. They're pristine, nice condition. You clean them.
Gary, if you need some Crocs,
You know what?
we're your
I'm
guy.
very happy with wearing flip flops, but everybody today calls them
Thongs?
slides.
I don't know about that.
It's a cool thing, cool guy thing.
All right. For
Slides.
somebody lived in Florida, when you don't really, that is your shoe choice.
Aren't flip flops the one with the little toe piece that you
Yes.
put? So
No,
slides are without.
I know.
I
but
get like
I said
I get like
somebody-
chafing when I,
I
do
said
the
they-
flip flops, like in the big toe area.
I was I don't wear them as much anymore up here, but I was wearing them and somebody goes, "Oh, you got some slides on." I'm like, "No, they're flip flops."
Well, it depends. Was there a big latch over your
No,
foot,
I had
or
the
was
toe.
yeah, it's a flip flop?
I know, but slides are popular,
I didn't-
especially
I
with
didn't,
the young athletes that I hang around with. They all wear slides.
That is true.
I
They don't
didn't
wear shoes.
I didn't.
Very, very big amongst like any athlete,
Yes.
like any range, like middle school AAU basketball players to like I don't even
College
know what
hockey
the,
players.
Yeah, I mean you're all the way to the top.
Socks and
I don't
sandals.
need
All the way to
Crocs.
the top.
I got my Hey Dudes. I got my Cloud Nines.
I respect that.
You're
one with the youth. You sure are, Gary.
I
Yes.
didn't wear flip flops growing up, but I got hit by them all the time.
Ooh,
Like
A chocolate to the back of the head.
a chunk.
Just watch. Bangaki! Bangaki!
so, that was the weapon of choice by your parents.
By my mother, not my father.
She
My
smacked you in the back of the head with a flip flop.
Yes.
Hmm.
Put
I
s- there was one time I swore and she put soap in my mouth.
Like
Well,
Were you like
soap in the mouth
14,
is a
15?
normal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was this like a couple months ago before you took the shot? Or when was this?
no,
she
no.
drove to Omaha.
No.
Yeah.
Heard him on the radio.
I know where he is.
It was funny though. I was on the phone with my mother and
Nice. Good start.
my friend was listening and I accidentally slipped an inappropriate word.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, and I had to be like, I'm so sorry. I
Was it
didn't mean to
little
say
person?
No. No. It was not little person. It was pickle, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Very
it was
nice.
pickle.
Yeah, good.
But no, anyway, yeah, I got hit by flip flops growing up. Didn't really wear them. Just
I always got the
she
soap.
threw one
Yeah.
time. My mom had a cannon. Just,
Little Patty Mahomes.
yeah,
little Josh
just
Allen
right
back
there. I was on the
Bang.
run, and she goes,
Bang.
When I got hit by a flip flop, the wooden spoon was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never got the wooden spoon.
Our
I got
house was a wooden spoon.
we were
Yeah.
a belt and flip flop.
Grandpa and Grandma Drake were the capital punishment wooden spoon. They were for sure.
Grandpa,
So,
grandma.
Grandpa and Grandma Drake. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You got your grandparents punished you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, like this
Maybe
is
I'm
like,
in the minority.
This is like rural Nebraska. This is like
Okay.
farm
Fair enough.
Nebraska.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, we were
We didn't wear Crocs on the farm, so that wasn't our thing.
in metropolitan Skokie, Illinois. It was the grandparents would spoil you,
Mm,
and then you get back home, and then you just get
not
you know,
here.
your
Put
ass
you to
beat.
work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only work I ever did was pumping up a bike tire. That was the extent of working.
Yeah. Speaking of which, for those of you who are longtime listeners of Austin Jacobsen here, filling in on 1620 The Zone, you can fill out that part of your bingo card where Austin brings up Rhule, Nebraska. So that has now officially been completed.
Got it out of the way pretty early.
I know,
Yeah.
I tried. Well, Gary was going to bring up Loomis
We-
at some point, so I wanted to beat him.
We
to the
got him in
punch.
trouble. So the first time Austin came in, he was talking about Loomis and where he
Loomis.
came from, and some people got offended.
Why?
Yeah,
why do they get offended?
Well, because they just got internet in Loomis over the summer, and they just happened to find this radio station's website, and they got all upset about it. Speaking of which,
They got the Cox.
I
They
was
got
at-
the Cox in Loomis. Cox came in.
well, they were playing pickle.
Yeah,
They
were they
doing-
touching
they were-
tips with
They were
references?
doing a lot of it. Yeah, I was at the
Do you ever
Miller.
think, Josh, that you and I would be the two most mature people of a conversation
What do
on
you
this radio
Never,
station? No, we're
never.
just listening. Continue on.
I was at Millard North, Millard South Friday night watching some
Okay.
Derek Rollins hoop.
yes.
He's a bucket, by the way. I was seated next to a person from McCook and another from Valentine. So we had a triangle of Sidney McCook Valentine, which for this station's demographic, I would doubt there's probably 15% of the listening audience who could name all three of those cities in geographic location. I know Josh can. I gave him Imperial, and that was a tough look a couple months ago.
No.
Just west of Gretna.
Yes,
Just say that and you'll be fine.
essentially.
I still don't know whether or not to turn left or right on Dodge, so I'm just trying to figure that out.
That is bad.
I'm just gonna. No, I'm
Not
kidding.
good.
I obviously know
son.
how
We
to
had
do
a
it.
serious.
It's
Well,
like-
you know, I mean, you're relatively new to Omaha. They don't explain it to newcomers.
They don't.
No, I think I do need to hop on a bus and just ride around on the bus and just figure
You'd
out.
be the only one on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us know how that
Have you seen
goes.
the
Yeah.
orbit
Can
go
you do-
by the window?
Can you do a road show where
So
it's just
we
you in
talked-
studio and him
we
on the
talked
bus?
about this before, and I would do that, and I would bring people on. Like, hey, you want to hop on? I'll have a microphone.
I would love to hear the bus takes.
We'll get a tie line and everything. Be like, what do you think about
Just talking radio, talking
Nebraska
shop.
football? What do you think about TikTok no longer being a part of our life?
You know, they've always said that about Omaha. I heard that when I moved here too.
What?
That they were said, if you really want to get the pulse of the city, ride the bus.
Ride the bus.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what they've
I
told me.
think that I'll do.
Yep.
I went to Old Market and I just
Whoa! Now you're
bummed-
just dropping
I know.
names.
I know.
Oh.
I was just bumming around in Old Market. Went to a nice little bar.
I did that too. When I
Watch
first
the
moved
game.
here, I would just drop like random names and be like, "Yeah, I was down in
Old
Westo
Market.
the other day."
Yeah, no, I'm trying to do that to pick up the street cred, you know? I was in Westo.
Ooh, he's of us.
Ooh, I was at Regency. They have this whole thing called, I think it's Whole Foods.
Yep.
It's kind of unique.
Listen,
They got this steakhouse that's kind of cool.
hand up, trust tree. We're not going to share this with anyone, right?
No.
I didn't realize Aldi was a national brand. I was telling my parents, I was like, this Aldi place is crazy. This place is nuts. And then my dad was just like, that's not just here. That is not just in Omaha.
Oh my God. He's like, yeah, that's incredible. Dude, this place is ridiculous. You can get a lobster dip roll for $2.50.
I know. It was nuts. And I told him, I was like, they are just blatantly getting away with copyright. I mean, there's so much going on here. I was like, the nacho cheese chips that are clearly Doritos, they're placed next to the actual Doritos for $2 cheaper. It's crazy. I was telling him, my dad just pure silent. And then like my mom was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go. And my dad was like, hey, just so you know. And I was like, oh, the more you know.
I got peanut butter O's, which is right next to the Reese's Puffs.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, that's great.
Just hit me with the Reese's.
Yeah.
Oh,
Reese's Puff. Reese's Puff.
Reese's. It's Reese's.
Okay, I
Reese's
mean,
Pieces.
it's just like this is
How
this is espresso versus espresso, and
No,
this is,
there's no X in
it's
espresso.
tomato versus tomato. I mean, it's just words, guys. Just words.
What are you,
It's fine.
Italian?
No, I get that a lot though. The bushy
can see
eyebrows and the black hair and the bad
Yep.
Chicago accent that I
Those-
don't know how
yep,
to control.
That's exactly the three things most Italian people
I
are
know.
known for.
I just watched
Yeah,
Goodfellas.
correct.
I just watched Goodfellas the other day too. Don't put too many onions in the sauce, Jacob. Austin Jacobsen.
Jacob Austin.
Austin Jacobsen. Don't put too many onions in the sauce.
By the way,
Gotta add the
this is
pork.
your TikTok demographic. In case
Gotta
you
add
really
the
want to
pork.
get into that.
Gotta have the pork. That's where the flavor's at. Gotta have the pork.
I don't know why you guys are all hating on TikTok.
I don't
Did you
know
not read
it.
the
I don't.
message? Loved it.
It's back.
I'm an IG Reels guy.
Hey!
so,
Oh,
yeah.
it's awful.
You and me, right
Yeah.
there. Put it
That is
there.
like that is awful.
Who
compared to
needs
TikTok.
Trump to save IG Reels?
Yeah,
Not me.
nobody.
Does IG Reels ever come on and go, thanks for your patience and support as a result of President Trump's efforts? TikTok is back in the U.S.
Mm-mm.
No, I
Nope.
don't think so.
We go to the comment section.
You know,
We
unfortunately,
live in the Instagram
yep,
comment
IG
section.
Reels is nonpartisan. Just like I like my schools, I like my IG Reels. Nonpartisan.
I
Do
don't
you think TikTok has a slant?
Yeah. Clearly.
what?
Are you
What?
kidding me?
What? What is it? What have we been dealing with for the last 3 weeks? All it's been is a slant for the last 3 weeks.
Has anybody gotten invaded or anything because of TikTok?
You don't
my
know that.
privacy?
You don't
Are
know
you
that.
kidding me?
You don't know that.
Invasion of my
You don't know that.
privacy.
You don't have
Gary.
all the
Oh my
facts.
God.
You don't have
How
all the
dare
facts.
You? How dare you?
You can talk about penalty yards with Kansas City all day. When it comes to TikTok, you don't have the piece of paper.
I think we're going to learn a lot about TikTok today. So
We're going to learn
Gary.
so much about TikTok. People are telling me nobody knows more about TikTok than Gary Sharp.
Yep. Liberal Gary just
Liberal-
hanging out in Omaha.
Liberal
Doesn't know
Gary.
about TikTok.
Lefty Gary, that's what I call him.
Up until a little bit ago, I thought I was conservative, but that's okay.
Well, then you use TikTok. So
TikTok.
what's your
Ti-
favorite thing
there
to
are
watch on
plenty of
TikTok?
conservatives on
Slow
TikTok.
motion golf swings on TikTok. Which ones are you watching,
No.
Gary?
Okay, let's just look here.
I can't wait till this
I
is like
gotta hit continue because it says
the
welcome
first
back.
thing that's going to pop up is like the SI swimsuit edition.
I was gonna say chicken fry in a swimsuit.
Matt strikes me as a Globo gym bro. What is that?
I almost read it out loud. You got to be careful of that.
Joke.
Are you sure you want to just go?
This is different.
Okay.
I actually know her. Well, I know her husband.
Lows of lows. Like my heart is gonna give out, but I love y'all.
We're
We're back.
back.
That was
We're
I'm
back.
so happy for you. Gary, do you ever consider becoming a content creator?
Made it.
Are you playing?
LA County, you are the trailhead. This is the 99th pork tenderloin right here in Ringstead, Iowa.
Oh, that guy.
That guy's awesome.
Yeah, that
we
guy.
really, we really playing TikToks over the air. That's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah.
That is bold.
Listen, he said he listened
Hey,
to
okay,
him
so
before,
that
and
guy-
he knows these guys.
so that
He's
guy
not-
is a-
yeah, they're my
I know
friends.
this guy.
I know
That guy is a
Real
farmer
close.
from rural Iowa that has gone to every
Loomis?
county eting a tenderloin.
No,
pork tenderloin.
that's Nebraska.
And he makes money off of his content.
Good for him.
I like the bearded butchers.
So
Bearded
it's not
butchers.
OnlyFans. He just has TikTok.
No, he's not only.
Does he have a
Oh,
pork
okay.
pork OnlyFans?
No, he's only TikTok guy.
I would pay to see.
I don't
me
have
on
an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
That's you guys. You guys are
I
a little
would-
bit
I
younger.
would-
You can be on
I would
OnlyFans.
if he had a pork OnlyFans, I'd pay to see high quality meat from Iowa on OnlyFans.
That's my fantasy football league punishment. Last place, you have to make $100 on OnlyFans, and you can stop posting. But you got to post every day.
That is awesome.
That's crazy.
But you can't post the link. And like when it first got introduced, I told everyone, I was like, I think this would be hilarious because no one will know. Obviously, more people do now. But I told them there's 10 people in the league, 9 people right away. No way. And I was like, well, you don't have to like do sexual activity. Like no one ever said that. And they're like, oh, well, what am I supposed to do? And I was like, well, what are you guys using OnlyFans for then? I know all of you guys now.
How would you go about making $100 on OnlyFans?
That's a good question. I think I just make a lot of recipes.
Gambling tip videos.
Yeah, there you go.
I think I would just go to the source. I think I would do feet pics. You know,
That's a good idea. Yeah.
I think it would just be. I would shave up the feet. I would get a nice manicure. You know, really procure them.
I have had to think about this because also I'm bad at fantasy football. We've
Me
been in
too.
the league 6 years. 5 of the 6 years, I have been in the last place game. So I've had to consider what my approach would be. My approach would be that I would always use like those leading captions and titles
Sure.
that suggest that maybe it's some suggestive material.
Yes.
And then it would just be, I don't know, me
Nothing.
playing like college football 25 or something. I don't know. And figure it out.
like I didn't pay for this.
Yeah. But I sell one for $25. I'm a quarter of the way there. All I need.
I'm also bad at fantasy football. So I'm in a keeper league, and my keepers are just terrible. I just got screwed over. I had ETN. He
Yeah.
was awful. Olave got hurt.
Yeah.
Waddle was
I don't have
not.
the patience for a keeper league.
Yeah, I love a keeper
Case in
league.
point, Mark Andrews yesterday. Everything that he did yesterday, I tweeted about it, and I had losers tweeting at me that I was a loser for talking about my fantasy football team, but I don't care. Because everything that he did in that game was because I played him for 8 straight weeks, and he scored me a total of 9 points. When he fumbled the ball, I said, yeah, that's right, Mark.
Mark.
And then when he dropped the ball, I was like, week 7. I almost tweeted his stat line. I was like, yeah.
Mark.
Speaking of the devil, there's Cam Newton.
I thought we were
just hanging out.
I thought we were still doing the inauguration up on the TV. I thought, what? Cam went to DC.
What should have been chief of staff?
What is that hat? I mean, he's got this.
That's actually one of his more basic hats, all things considered. The collar up is a choice.
Is there how much hair is that in that hat?
That's enough.
Like Theo Von said, hats are like apartments for your head.
Yeah, you can't work out. Can't work out in that apartment.
I can. I can work out in my apartment. I get to watch whatever I want in my apartment. I make the rules.
Happy for you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. So to summarize,
Hey,
Good talk,
here,
Russ.
would you like to be a part of this conversation?
Yeah, would you like to cross over?
you guys are good. You guys are
Get your
connected.
Crocs, man.
You guys are more connected than Acho and Joy Taylor. It's great.
Jeez. I'm actually more of a Charlie Dixon and
I'm
Joy
just full
Taylor
of joy
guy.
today. Full of joy, full of cold.
And Acho. Full of Acho
Oh,
today.
never said that.
Yeah,
I would never claim that.
I think she's full of Acho today.
Ugh. Ugh.
Can we
All
get the badum sound check,
Crossover.
please?
Have a good
Wow.
show.
Hey, thanks.
Good to see you
Appreciate
again.
that.
You're just gonna hang out here.
Cor-
Yeah, for as long as you'll have me. And then, like I said, this is going to be the longest promo for Tuesday night's Blue Jay shoot around. There has never been as many plugs for that show than there will be today. And then I'll be back Wednesday.
You would think that Creighton is playing like UConn, but
They
no,
did.
It's just DePaul.
Hey, every
You're
game in the
DePaul
Big
Blue
East
Demons.
matters. Did you not hear Mac? Come on now. He said it. Press conference last week.
If
Played
he
during
said
Blue
it.
Jay shoot around if you want to listen. An hour before, we take it live with John Bishop every single game day.
Oh, I know when there was a little football game south of here that was going on Saturday,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Just south?
just south.
Just a little south.
Have a good show.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Crossover is brought to you by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha and everlowconcrete.com. Austin and Josh kick
Yeah.
off next.
Yeah.
It's the Conner Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Conner Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
Welcome back. 1620, The Zone, Conner Happer Show. Hap is out. Austin Jacobsen is in.
Yeah, Happer said, hey, guys, sorry, I got to be in D.C. today. Don't ask any follow-up questions. I said, well, all right.
I was wondering how we would address the allegations. I didn't want to get too far into the weeds of it, but, who am I? Who am I to spill the beans?
If you're feeling the call, who am I to say no?
Also, you can watch on 1620 The Zone TV on the old YouTube chat if you'd like there. You can also watch across all the social channels, all that good stuff, and 1620thezone.com if you are the mobile app user. So, good show coming up as well. We've got, believe, Mike Schaefer, Sam McKewon coming up later on throughout the program. We'll talk a little Nebraska basketball. The NFL championships are now set. Creighton's back. Championship game tonight. It does feel like we've just completely forgotten about college football, right? I'm not saying we're over the season, but to this point, it doesn't even feel like, many people that actually are going to tune in at 6:30 tonight right away. I think a lot of people are going to join in later.
My wife asked me over the weekend, she said, who won the national championship? Did I miss that? Did I sleep through that? And I said, no, haven't played it yet.
Yeah, it's too late. It's too late in the season. In that 2-week gap that they took between the end of the conference championship to the start of the CFP was its biggest undoing. Maybe just keeping the Final Four, the semifinal on the New Year's Day games is probably the best bet.
Got to tighten that up somehow.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. The day after the NFL divisional games just seems like, in theory, it sounds like a good idea, but it just feels like we're missing a step of the college football season. I feel like we're already wrapped up, and maybe it's just because, frankly, maybe this isn't the national conversation. Maybe this is a Nebraska thing because we've so moved on. We're past the Pinstripe Bowl. We're kind of over everything. We're on to next season. So many people are looking ahead. And then, of course, you add in all the recruitment stuff. You add in the All-American games, all of the, people reporting to campus, off-season workouts. That conversation's brewing more and more. And unfortunately, we're also into a really strong part of the college basketball season. We're all into conference play, ups and downs and swings of bubble talk and all that sort of stuff. It just feels like the college football national championship is kind of forgotten. It's nowhere close to what it was really even in the BCS days. I don't think I'm too far off on that. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's been 3 weeks since the Pinstripe Bowl. Is that right?
Wow.
No, 4. 4 Saturdays ago was the Pinstripe Bowl.
That's crazy. That's a lot. That's a lot of Saturdays off.
Feels like a lifetime ago.
But even in that sense, the Pinstripe Bowl was another Nebraska game. People who enjoyed that, they had fun with it. No one's ever going to say no to that. But it's not like that one was really on the needle for most people. I think more people would have been more, if you were to say, oh, which one would you rather tune in for? Regular season Nebraska and Rutgers or any of those games throughout the 12-week span, or the bowl game against Boston College, I think they would probably give you the Big Ten slate. You'd probably throw out UNI, the Northern Iowa game. I don't think anyone would have been oh, I'd replace that with the Pinstripe Bowl. Nah. Probably the UTEP game too, but I think everything else in there, everyone would have been yep, I'd rather watch that again than watch the Pinstripe Bowl. I don't know.
Ohio State obliterating Oregon in the Rose Bowl was 3 weeks ago.
Oh, jeez. That feels like it was 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So far past that.
Maybe that is the biggest issue with the college football playoff, and something they didn't anticipate is that naturally, the NFL playoffs progress and your teams do get better over time. Hopefully, right? That every single team that advances and wins becomes a better situation, a better story, a better so on and so forth. But with the college football playoff, you knock out 6 teams right away, and then some of your biggest games might have actually been that second round, because the Texas-Arizona State game was one of the more memorable ones. You had the Boise State storyline with Penn State, although obviously Penn State took care of business. Ohio State-Oregon was one of the more hyped matchups of the entire college football playoff landscape, and that one was an utter blowout from the beginning. Yeah, I guess Notre Dame, Penn State, it lived up to its hype, but I don't know. I think my biggest issue is that maybe college football is just not the national brand that we think that it is. The regionalization and the teams itself are the bigger deals, right? Because tonight's fans are mostly Ohio State fans or Ohio State haters. Notre Dame fans are Notre Dame haters. I don't know if there's a huge contingency of just college football nerds that are going to tune in for every single game. There always will be. Every sport has those, and college football probably has a better broad base of that. But like if you are an Iowa State fan tonight, what reason do you have to really watch the national championship other than that it's part of the sport you are in? It's not that way with the NFL. Like the NFL, everyone's always tied into the NFL. Everyone's got like the league. Everyone talks about how great, all that is. And it's kind of the same conversation with college basketball, but yet we always follow certain storylines in college basketball. Like there's always a key player or there's a team on the rise, especially when it comes to March Madness, and everyone loves to kind of build that way up. I don't know if college football really has that. And I don't know if they can get it in the same way. It's just too regional for this type of national landscape, maybe in this day and age.
I would also argue that tonight's matchup, while it is two big brands, it is two big brands that are located very close to each other. So it doesn't feel like this big national event, even though I think we should be on tap for a pretty good game tonight.
Yeah, you know what? We're gonna switch this around. I'll be honest. Got called in late to the bullpen. I was happy about that. Of course, Happer got his flight planned all over to DC as quickly as possible when he heard about the openings and opportunity for him to go to Inauguration Day. So let's just go right into Ohio State Notre Dame, shall we? Why not?
Let's do it.
I mean, no one else is telling us what to do. So Ohio State 8.5, total 46.5. I feel like this is going to just be a dud of a game, personally. And I know you just said, hopefully going to be a good contest. It looks like it could be. You got a defensive team with good pass defense efficiency. Ohio State's known to, go number 2 in their own bed when they face against a physical team and they try to become the physical opponent. I look back on the past national championships games, and I was talking to Dr. Girlfriend earlier this morning about it too, that she was asking me, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to invite people over? Do you want to have something, special for dinner? What do you want to do? And I just told her, I was like, I don't think it's going to be that good of a game. I think you can go to bed early for this one. I really think you can. I don't think you're going to miss out on much. I'm going to watch the game, of course. That's my job. That's my fandom coming through. But the last time that we actually had a game that was worth watching all the way through, would have been what? Georgia-Bama?
Yep.
2022, that late pick 6 made it a 2-score game, but we had a little bit of a run there in the mid 2010s where it was like Alabama, Clemson a couple of years back and forth, but they're mostly blowouts. I mean, really, the national championships pretty much already decided before the game even kicks off over the 10 years that we've been doing this with the playoff.
Last time we had a one-possession game was 2017. My math is... I'm in a fog today. if you haven't been able to tell.
Well, to be fair, if I remember right, a lot of those national championship games have been awkward scores. Like they're all like 42-25,
44-16, 42-25. Yep, 52-24, 33-18.
Yeah,
65-7. People forget 34-13 last year.
Where were you when Stetson Bennett won his second college football playoff national championship MVP?
I was probably on my couch.
You probably fell asleep.
Well, I do that. I wasn't shuffling any cards.
But even you just read off some of those, but if you can recall some of the keynote moments of the 2019 national championship, Alabama and Clemson, when Trevor Lawrence won 44-16. How about the Joe Burrow year, 42-25 over Clemson? Alabama blowing out Ohio State 52-24 in Devontae Smith's coming home COVID game. Then the Georgia-Bama game, the Georgia-TCU game, last year's Michigan-Washington game, which was the ultimate snooze fest. I mean, that was... I couldn't tell you a single impactful play in that other than I think Washington was going on a drive at the very end of the game and Michael Penix threw a pick that got maybe returned for a touchdown. It was something like that. I'm warning everyone to ease into your expectations tonight. I will say this. if you're looking for a reason to root for a team in today's matchup, there's plenty of Omaha natives to be able to support on Notre Dame. Xavier Watts got the Rezac boys. Teddy's going to play on special teams. Of course, Xavier's going to be probably one of the bigger premier players. He'll probably get spotlighted a couple of times.
The Leprechaun is from Omaha.
The Creighton Prep alum. Did a feature on him. I think I saw that on earlier over the weekend.
Yeah.
I hope he gets a game day, like a pregame special.
Oh, yeah.
I think Pat McAfee will talk to him. That'd be huge. Throw him through a table or something like that. Give him like a black tank top and let him run around in that for like a half hour.
Your energy's off the charts.
But what I would look forward to the most in this national championship game more than anything, and this is actually, I'm trying to buy myself into reasons why I want to give myself rooting interest, right? I don't want to just sit back and just watch the game as it goes. I don't think I can be as invested in it unless I put myself in investment to it. So I was looking through trying to figure out how I wanted to do this. And of course, the best way is to put my money where I want to watch, right? So I feel like you're going to watch this and hope for fireworks, right? No one's going to watch this and hope it's a 10-3 or 17-10 game. You're going to want for the...
Ooh, fun.
Uh-oh. What's happened?
Well, power went out.
Oh, no.
We're gonna press on as if.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
That was bonkers.
Yeah.
Whoa, that was something.
Little power outage here at 1620 The Zone.
That's
Not
okay.
sure what happened.
Yeah, we're all good though. Some of the lights stayed on though. That was weird.
We got some generators kicking around in an emergency.
Yeah, I heard that. This isn't a me curse thing, is it? Because
I mean, you're gonna get the blame for it.
Well, do you remember the first time that I was on this station? The very first day I was on was the day after the windstorm in July.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You're a
It's
terrible
my fault.
curse.
It is my fault.
Upon this station.
I blame Happer and trying to celebrate MLK Jr. Day.
Yeah.
That's on him. I can't do anything about it. That he asked me to come on and I said yes.
He said, look, I gotta hop a plane. I gotta be in DC today. It's important.
It is importante. Man, that was crazy. That was bonkers. Okay, anyway. Do we just dive back in? I mean,
yeah.
I feel like, do we check on people? What if someone what if someone's going to become a supervillain here? They fell into like a vat of acid or just turned into Electro all of a sudden. Jamie Foxx themselves.
Well, there's a way to stop Jamie Foxx. We've all seen that.
We're all aware. We're all aware of how to solve that situation. But again, my invested interest into this contest has to be completely through the offensive side. So I was looking back through the history of the college football playoff national championship games. Offensive MVPs is obviously where you want to rely on who's going to have the biggest games, who's the guy that you can like look at and give yourself an idea of who could be maybe the top performer in the contest. 2 running backs have won offensive MVP. That was Ezekiel Elliott and Blake Corum, kind of the cap ends of the 4-team college football playoff. Deshaun Watson, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, and Stetson Bennett won it twice, meaning 6 quarterbacks have won the MVP, and a tight end and receiver have each won it, O.J. Howard and Devontae Smith. So, if I were to take a look at this, again, Ohio State, the spread at 8.5, the total at 46.5 points. Favorites are 6-4 against the spread. Totals are 7-3 in the decade of college football playoff title games. I'm going to take the Ohio State over, and I'm going to I pray that this just goes completely one-sided for the Buckeyes. If I'm, again, rooting interest on one side of the ball, I'm praying it's going to go completely Buckeyes all the way. I would love for a great first half or third quarter, but as long as they cover by 2 touchdowns, I'm totally fine with that. And the one that I actually love the most of all of these is if you're going to say, well, what receiver, what offensive player is going to dominate? There's only one offensive player in this game that everyone's going to assume is going to have a day like that. You're going to just put it towards Jeremiah Smith. I'm going to go the bonkers, ludicrous numbers, 2 touchdowns, over 100 receiving yards. Just give yourself great odds and enjoy it, right? I can see myself having much more fun in this game if I just stare down the TV every time that Ohio State gets to the goal line and praying for a goal line fade. I just want to be screaming and upset with Ryan Day for different issues. And I want to be the one guy who's not pounding the table saying, run the ball. I want them to throw to Jeremiah Smith 1 million times. Oh, man. Hey, we did get everything back up, it does look like, though, so that's good.
It's important to have things to root for.
Yeah. the Big Meteor National Championship game tonight.
And yeah,
do you think this is a Big Meteor game?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if it's that significant.
We've talked about, Connor and I have, throughout the course of the season, that Notre Dame has somehow, some way managed to seem kind of likable. Marcus Freeman seems like a stand-up guy. There's a lot of Omaha.
Underdog.
Yeah, there's a lot of Omaha connections on that Irish team. So there's things to like about Notre Dame, and I don't know. I guess there's those people out there that are like, Big Ten. I want the Big Ten to win everything.
Yeah. I don't know how much I love the conference affiliation. I was having this conversation earlier that really, win or lose, this game doesn't matter to the Big Ten, does it? Like, I guess you can claim that you won another Big Ten title, but
they got there.
Yeah, and you already got the money.
Yeah.
You get the revenue share because they're in it. You don't get any more just because they win. So, I don't know. If your faith allows you, maybe root wherever you want. I will say this. I pray that the national, I wouldn't say national because it won't go national. I hope that the Ohio State narrative, if Ohio State were to lose this game, does change because Ryan Day is Roman Catholic, that he threw the game for his religion. I actually sincerely hope that does become a part of that cult activity. I think that would be the greatest, because could you imagine the small sect of Ohio State fans that already want him fired still because he lost to Michigan and then he threw the game to his religion? That's a perfect brewing scenario for me.
Teeny tiny sliver of Venn diagram would be hilarious to watch, just up in arms after the game tonight. Yes.
And then I would love to see the AI generated images of Ryan Day outside of Touchdown Jesus. I think I foresee all of these great things happening. I know it won't happen, but man, it just sounds so much fun. I hope and I pray that this does happen. But like I said, I have to put rooting interest into it through my cash flow. That's the only way I can get in. This national championship game, while exciting, if this was week 2, I'd be off the walls planning my weekend around this game. But for whatever reason, here in the middle of January, I don't really care. I don't really care. And I don't know why. You can call me a non-sports fan, college football hater, any of that stuff. Just doesn't move the needle like I thought it would for me. It's unfortunate, but it's true. All right, when we return here on the Conner Happer Show on 1620 The Zone, talk a little Nebraska basketball. Are they bad? Whoa. That'll be the discussion coming up next here on 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone, Connor Happer Show, Austin Jacobsen in for Hap. Appreciate everyone dealing with us through our technological issues and our power out, but we're back and we're good. So stream is back up. Appreciate all the people wishing that Happer was back in. That's okay. I understand. He's got important things going on and to do, and I'm excited for him. I'm excited to hear some Hap.
Yeah, he's gonna go shake some billionaire hands today in Washington,
and then eventually make his way back west.
Yes,
slightly.
He will. Yeah. Should we tell him?
Oh no! There it goes again.
Hell's going on?
Oh, what the ultimate tease! Just as soon as we wanted to share,
I just rebooted the computers. That's funny. Power went out again.
I think someone doesn't want us to share where Happer's going.
No.
You know what? At this point, if you don't know, you don't know. You're not going to find out.
Yeah.
We can't go back and say it again.
Tune into the DePaul game tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe we'll find out. All right, so before we go off the air from generator power again, Nebraska basketball, that was bad. That was bad yesterday.
No, they're good.
I know you keep saying this. I've read the chat. They keep asking. Are they good? No, they are bad. 4-game lose streak. Not the way that Fred Hoiberg probably dialed it up. Remember when everyone was like, oh, going into Iowa, this is a game that you can start to really move yourself forward and feel confident in where you're heading. And then the Rutgers game, everyone was like, well, this is a bounce back game. This is how we get back. We're back at home. This is how we get everything back on track. And then it all started to turn sideways once again. And not even sideways. There were moments in that Maryland contest where you could definitely feel that Nebraska was getting on track and the wheels were spinning and everyone was, feeling a little bit better. They had, I think, like a 10-0 run somewhere in the middle of that contest and they got everything rolling in the second half, of the second half. But then in the final 5 minutes, it just, I don't know. It felt like it was a game that they just kind of just lost what they were doing. And I'll admit, it was a Sunday afternoon when the game was still rolling on, intently kind of looking over to the side. I was trying to whip up some breakfast too, do kind of the both. It was late. It was a late morning. But there was no part of that Nebraska game that was just awe-inspiring. And for a team that's known for its defensive prowess and a team that really has backed itself into a corner saying, no, this is the team that we are becoming and the team that we are, it felt like a lot more of the mistakes were just Maryland being bad offensively, especially in that last stretch, more than it was Nebraska probably playing well. And maybe I'm known to be somewhat of a hater when it comes to a team performing bad and just sandbagging on them more. But there was no part of me that felt any sort of positive vibes going forward with Nebraska basketball after that contest, especially the way it ended too. Some of the stats actually weren't horrific, but some of the stats just felt like they didn't necessarily entail what we saw. I really thought that the 3-point shooting was interesting, to put it, I guess, somewhat neutrally. 6 of 16. But defensively, Nebraska's 0-6 when their opponents shoot 39% or better from 3-point. So if you look back on some of their key wins through this season, I don't know, maybe a game that Jack Mitchell really loves back in November. Whoever they played that day didn't shoot very well from 3. So is the kryptonite for Nebraska's excellent defensive strategy and their hard-nosed mentality more reliant on the other team performing poorly rather than them playing well? It's probably not that serious, but it's maybe somewhere in the middle, right?
Generally, usually is. Regardless,
I don't know. Getting ready for this show, looking through the rest of the Nebrasketball schedule, I'm a seasoned Nebrasketball, here we go again, fan, right? As soon as things start to look up, and then you take kind of a step back, it seems to start to spiral significantly. And that's kind of where my fandom and how I've relied on Nebraska basketball through my 27 years of life have been so far. And then looking forward, get a home contest against USC, a team like Gary and Matt were talking about just about an hour ago, how
that's a huge game.
Kind of a pivot game for both teams.
Yeah.
USC's got USC's got a conference record that's better than Nebraska's. And if you don't win Wednesday late night, you're on the road at Wisconsin, a top 25 team. You're at home against Illinois, top 25 team. You're on the road at Oregon, top 25 team. And then you're on the road following that Sunday game against Oregon at Washington, which the Huskies aren't great, but that's a 9:30 Central Time tip.
Hello.
On a Wednesday night at the start of February in Washington.
Sleepy.
I don't know. It just, this slate doesn't look great. And then to tail it off, after Washington, you're back at home against Ohio State on that Sunday. It feels like that this is a stretch of games where we will really know where Nebraska is going to be, not only moving forward for the rest of this season, but potentially if this is a reliable strategy that can move forward. Because we've seen many different sides of Fred Hoiberg and Nebraska basketball over the past few years. They did turn their corner. They for sure did. Absolutely last year. They made the tournament. And they did it at the end of the 23 season. But here in 2025, if the ceiling falls out, I think we're going to start to hear a little bit more of those whispers and murmurs about, oh, where is this program heading? What's the ceiling? What's the capability? But as it has been for the past 3 or 4 games for Nebraska, you have a chance to change the narrative in each and every game coming up. And again, it could change significantly against USC. They get a win against the Trojans. You feel better about heading on the road to Wisconsin. Feel better about your chances being back at PBA against Illinois. And if you get 3 in a row, then why couldn't you beat Oregon on the road? Why couldn't you continue that win streak at Washington? Maybe it's a little bit about how my brain chemistry is when it comes to this program and this team, but much like their defensive lapse through some stretches of this losing streak, it just feels like there are some times when Nebraska is just not able to get out of their own way. And in a season, not even just a microcosm, in one game or in one moment, we're starting to see a new streak of bad luck and bad things just continuing to happen and continue to move forward. I'm not going to go into all the nitty gritty and try to break down all that good stuff. I was surprised that Aaron Eulis played as well as he did. He had 10 assists. That's pretty good. It's the most assists I think he's had. And I mean, when you have a guy that's contributing as your point guard, getting that double-digit figure, yeah, you're going to love that. But at one point, Nebraska had a lineup of a lot of smalls, and then they had a lineup of a lot of bigs, and then they had a lineup of kind of all the unathletic guys on the team, just kind of on the court at the same time. And they are a confusing mix of college basketball players, scheme. But if anyone's figured out this confusing mess, it's Fred Hoiberg, because he did it last year. And I think that he has the ability to do it again. I know it's not necessarily the full in-depth, in detail on Nebraska basketball, what's wrong, what's going bad. But at this point, there are more questions than there are answers. And I don't think that there's one significant point that you can just put your finger on and just say, well, this has to improve. Because, yeah, Connor Happer needs to be shooting better overall. But then he actually did pretty well over some of these games that they've lost. Juwan Gary hasn't been the best offensive player of the past couple of years or past couple of games either. But then his season as a whole, is it as bad as what we've seen from him entirely? His numbers are down, yeah, but not necessarily, I don't think, completely out of the realm of questioning. Bryce Williams has been back and forth in some of his offensive numbers. They're a confusing team, especially for me. Especially for me. As someone who is just trying to get a grasp on what this team is, I can't.
I can't believe you would go on the radio and say these things about a good basketball team.
How dare you? How dare you do that to me again? What is this? I mean, they at one point in this season, yes, they were good. They were receiving top 25 votes. Yeah. They had won good games. They beat a at the time, good number 15 UCLA team. Since that game, everything has fallen apart for both of them. UCLA can't travel, and Nebraska can't score.
Everyone told me day after day after day, Josh, Nebrasketball is good. How could you possibly get on the radio and slander an entire program? You canceled them last year, Josh, and they went on a run. Please cancel them this year.
Well, then
no.
But then they should be praying for you to cancel them again.
They are. They're in my mentions every day.
Every day.
Please cancel this team. Please cancel us. Nah.
Not yet.
Wednesday's a big one, though.
Wednesday's a big one.
You should probably go ahead and beat USC.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, the whole ceiling falls apart if they don't get that win over USC, especially with it being at home.
Bottom could drop out. Also, please remember the bottom 3 teams in the conference don't make the conference tournament.
Oh, something tells me Nebraska fans are very aware of that.
Oh, okay.
Something
just wanted to make sure we understood the new format of everything.
Yeah.
Now, the schedule is very easy towards the end of the season, but got to get there.
You have to get there, and you have to. I'm not saying you don't have to win all of these next 6 games by any stretch.
Seems impossible.
I wouldn't label it as impossible, but it does feel very difficult, yes. If you want to mark 2 of those games, I think the Wisconsin-Oregon road games are obviously the ones that you're like, that makes it closer to 0%. But I wouldn't say it's undoubted, out of the realm of doubt that they could have a good record out of these 6 games. I fear you get to that Ohio State game on February 9th, and you're so far out of it already that it's tough to get back into it. That's where my head is at moving forward with this team, especially on the bubble watch and all the different bracketologies and everything else that we're going to see, not only today, tomorrow, Wednesday. It's just going to be a whole host of different scenarios. You've been riding high for a long time. I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I was having a good time. Then you hit the other side of it. It's easy to stay in that rut. They got to pull themselves out. That's all that it takes.
Mental makeup's going to be huge.
Yes.
For this team down the stretch, and they got to find a consistent bucket.
And like I said, if anyone can figure this out, I feel like Fred Hoiberg's kind of the guy for Nebraska because he constructed this Rocky Mountain Horror Show. I think he can put it into whatever conglomeration that he likes. But I think a disclaimer, it could look pretty ugly at some different points. But we're used to that at this point. All right, coming up next on the Conner Happer Show, we will talk a little bit more. NFL championship games are now set. And welcome to the evil empire, if you haven't joined us already. That's next year on the Conner Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Conner Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back, 1620 The Zone, Conner Happer Show. Austin Jacobsen in for Happer today. Much colder outside than the last time that I was here filling in for Happer. That was in the summer heat blitz. It is now the cold freeze that is back in. I hate asking Siri all the time what the wind chill is. Because when you ask for the temperature, it never gives you what it actually is. It just, tells you that it's 10 degrees warmer than what it's supposed to be. Then wind chill actually hits you in the face, and you're like, it's not 5. It's like negative 15.
Well, it doesn't seem like a good system.
No. So why would we do that? I also love the Weather Channel apps that give you all of the little the push notifications asking you, oh, hey, guess what? You're going to have a high of 17 today. But they refuse to tell you that there's 30-mile-an-hour winds, and you're just going to get blown in the face by a freezing wind. But to each their own.
Don't give me a push notification for weather. I'm an adult.
You don't need it?
No.
You just step outside?
I know the weather.
You know the weather?
I'm an adult.
Okay, I respect that. I do have an interesting thing. Do you think that is there anything about the NFL and the cold weather teams moving forward? 4 cold weather teams, all advanced. Non-dome teams, too. I mean, that can't be nothing, right?
I hadn't thought of that until this very second.
Yeah. And even in the college football playoff, who's playing tonight? 2 cold weather teams.
Cold.
Now, I was trying to tie this back and thinking of, okay, well, maybe this is a trend. It's not. It's just a this season thing, so I don't think it really has anything to do with it. Also, the SEC being so bad, they can't, show up in their own title game.
Dregs of society.
But like Houston, I don't think Houston was necessarily affected by the cold. They were affected by the refs. But, yeah.
Careful.
Listen, let's rip this Band-Aid off. The refs were not the problem on that Saturday.
Oh, okay.
That's just I'm not a Chiefs believer. I'm not a part of Chiefs kingdom.
Don't disrespect them.
I think by proxy I am, but I watched the game. Yes, there were a couple that were very bad. There were some that were pretty egregious, and some that everyone in the room would go, oh, I don't know. The unnecessary roughness hit when 2 Texan players collided on top of each other, on top of Mahomes. Not good. Not great. But also, if you're going to allow the greatest marketable quarterback and player in the NFL to adjust the rules in his favor, and when he knows he can get fouls and yardage, I think he's going to take that competitive advantage. That's just a thought. Like, if he's going every time that he gets close to a defender or near out of bounds and he slows down significantly so he can be forced out and pushed to the ground to draw 15 more yards, yeah, I think he's going to do it. Because at the end of the day, you may remember Mahomes. Maybe you'll remember Mahomes for all these different things that he was, whether it was a flop artist or a guy that just drew penalties or anything else. But he's always going to be remembered for more championships than anything else, because I hate to say this, I was having this argument last night as well with one of my friends that Tom Brady did all this same stuff before, especially after that ACL tear. I mean, there were significant moments in huge games when he would point down to defenders on the ground, diving at his legs, and would get a flag thrown because they came near his body, because the roughing the passer hit had just been established for below the knee. Don't forget either the time that Tom Brady slid into, I believe it was a Denver Bronco, and just kicked him in the groin. This isn't anything new. It's more of a get used to the evil empire that the Kansas City Chiefs have become. And yes, the comparison of the New England Patriots to the Chiefs is old, and everyone's already heard it before. I get it. I understand. But if you're not a part of this train already, then you have to jump on board, because if you haven't seen the similarities yet, they're already moving forward. They have similar stat lines. They're chasing the same titles. They're chasing the same rings. They're both trying to work their way to the upper echelon of the upper echelon. They're working towards the number 1 player of all time. Tom Brady is. Patrick Mahomes is on his way. And if you don't believe that Patrick Mahomes in every circumstance is going to try to find a way to pick up extra yardage with an offense that's been anemic this season, I think you're fooling yourself. And the Texans, unfortunately for them, allowed Mahomes to do it. When it came to shots high up above the body on a free runner towards the quarterback, you can't launch yourself into the face mask of the league's MVP over the past 6 years. You can't try to make a collision tackle when he's attempting to slide to try to lay a lick on a quarterback. And if you want the most obvious difference in this, when Jared Goff got blown up on his pick 6 that he threw by the Washington Commanders, he essentially got gurneyed off back to the sideline and then thrown back in the game. And no penalty markers came. If that would have happened to Patrick Mahomes, I think that Roger Goodell would have came down on the field himself and healed him and then sent him back into the lineup while executing whoever decided to go against him. On the spot, we would have had a French Revolution from Mr. Goodell in that moment. But I don't understand how people can be so naive to this concept that whatever the Chiefs, it's not whatever the Chiefs want to do. It's what the Chiefs know they can push the boundary of. And if they can get close to getting a penalty, that gets them an extra advantage. If they can add a little bit of an extra circumstance here or there that benefit them, they're going to do it. And of course, all the Twitter takes and all of the different Chiefs tweets, I've seen them all, where it's, oh, well, the refs didn't allow 8 sacks. Oh, the refs didn't block the last field goal. Oh, the refs didn't do this. Those are 100% correct. The Kansas City Chiefs accomplished all of those goals. The Texans were not in a spot to be able to beat the Chiefs on Saturday. But it still turned into the whole conversation that the Chiefs won the game because of the refs. The Chiefs won the game because they were the Chiefs, because they outplayed the Texans. It wasn't because C.J. Stroud played poorly. It's because they don't have a good team. They brought a kicker who was too afraid of being cold than to make extra points and field goals. They had a working offensive line that did not get patched up through their past offseason, and they had receivers who spent more time in ambulances and hospital rooms than they did catching passes for the Texans. Some of those things they can control, some they can't. But to have the conversation that the Texans would have won that game just because the refs allowed the Chiefs to win it, I think is very short-sighted. I don't even think it would have been a closer game. I think we kind of get the same result that it ended up being. I don't know what distinct differences it was. Yeah, 100 yards total offense. They had 100 and whatever yards of kick returns. It's not like this isn't a foreign concept. And trust me, as the resident Panther fan, actual Panther fan for this program and this station.
Yeah.
Thank you, Josh.
Not like those fake ones.
Yeah. Who could that be?
Yeah.
But man, I can't say it enough that I truthfully believe that if you just don't buy into the fact that the Chiefs are going to be a team that's going to continue to just keep climbing and keep pushing and keep trying to broaden that envelope as far as they can go, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know who you want to hear it from. I don't know what therapist you need to go lay down next to or sit with. Get all your Chiefs anger out. Whatever it takes, man. Do what you need to do. But I don't think that the Chiefs are the problem. The problem is that the NFL is allowing the Chiefs to push that boundary as far as they can go. No one's come to the Chiefs yet, like they did with Belichick, and say, hey, quit recording our players. Quit recording practices of opposing teams. They're not going to come to Patrick Mahomes and say, hey, listen, you're not allowed to ease up when you come to the sideline anymore because you're trying to draw a penalty. It's kind of the same as like jumping into a shooter, right? In like the NBA where they got rid of that, where you're trying to draw fouls. Mahomes is doing the same concept. The NBA disregarded it, and it changed a lot of stances on how the players that it affected played. But Mahomes, until he's told otherwise, he's going to keep doing the same thing. He's going to keep doing this. And the unfortunate part for everyone not named Kansas City Chiefs fans is that Mahomes will continue to do excellent work everywhere else if this is taken away from him. Sometimes the best players will also push the boundary. And as much as you want to pick and prod at all the different things that he is doing to get an advantage, you're also not crediting him for the ability to see where that advantage comes from. And he knows it. I don't think he was doing this in year 1, 2, 3. But he's definitely taking it now because he knows he's going to get those penalty markers. It's just part of the evil empire, Josh.
He's become a crafty vet.
He has. I think that's the other part. He's 29. I always forget like how young he is, right? I always forget. He's just been in our lives and been a main focal point for so long.
Yeah.
I don't know. Also, on that same note, it's not the ref's fault that the Houston Texans just forgot where 85-year-old Travis Kelce was. I mean,
might want to cover him.
He's
a little closer.
Pretty good. And I mean, come on. Someone was in the house. You got to know. You got to know that he was going to get the ball.
All right, she's there. They're going to devise some plays for
Come
him.
on. And Caitlin Clark was there.
At the same time,
sitting next to each other. Think they were talking ball? Think she was like giving her pick and roll advice?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I kind of do.
It's all choreography, right?
Yeah.
Really? She was just like, well, this is how I would step. And Caitlin was, redirecting her own footwork. I'd love to know the talk shop. I bet they traded phone numbers too.
Got to be bouncier. You got to bounce.
See, the other big part of that too is people won't talk about, and this is the TikTok in me, so you can stop me. You can cut me off. You can go power outage if we need to here. All right.
There's a lot of TikTok users.
Yeah. But
I respect the audience.
But was the Rizzler there?
He was.
So do you think they were talking about the Rizzler?
No.
I do.
No.
I fully believe. Because I bet he showed up on that screen and Miss T Swift, whoa. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Careful.
Miss T Swift turned to her left and said, Caitlin, who is that? And then she got the full Rizzler lore after that. That's what I love to believe.
Okay, that is the one scenario, the Doctor Strange scenario that I could see is her turning around and going, somebody tell me who this guy is. He's everywhere.
Maybe that's how Caitlin Clark got down to her.
Yeah, because like the first half.
Not there. Sitting behind her.
Yeah, she was like a row or two behind her.
Yep.
And then
she was all up in that John Wilkes Booth back there. Tell you that. Just hanging out.
Oh, come on down, Caitlin.
Come
on down.
And I love this thought process, this scenario that Taylor just stands up in the press box and just is like, what is that kid? Who is that? Caitlin goes, I know. That's a Rizzler.
I can fill you in if you really want to know.
Also, unprovoked short story. Great moment during that game. Dr. Girlfriend had arrived back home from her long shift at the hospital and sits down. She's watching the game a little more intently than I am. I'm like scrolling on my phone as it was coming out of the commercial break, and they show Caitlin and Taylor sitting next to each other, and she goes, man, look at that box. I looked up, and I was like, oh.
A suite is often referred to as a box.
So imagine my surprise when I saw two people sitting in front of the screen. I was, oh, I see what you're saying.
Yes, I understand completely.
But I don't know. It's just a part of the evil empire. They've got everyone going for them. They've got Caitlin Clark, the devil. Caitlin Clark is not the devil. That was the devil.
Oh, okay.
As in a list. And Taylor Swift. I've just seen all of these. That's another great part of being a part of the Instagram Reel army is that I've seen many Patrick Mahomes AI-generated satanic rituals. So it's been quite an experience over the weekend. Yes. I don't know if you're a part of that algorithm.
No, you don't.
I don't even know how I ended up a part of that algorithm, unfortunately.
Your feed is messed up. Mine's just cooking videos and dinosaur facts.
I respect that. Listen, Dino Nugs, Dino Facts. That's all you need, right?
Yeah.
That's all that you got. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll break down more NFL championship talk, including Detroit, Philadelphia, Washington, and where Lamar Jackson now ranks amongst maybe some of those AFC quarterbacks. That's next right here on 1620 The Zone and the Conner Happer Show. Welcome back, Conner Happer Show, 1620 The Zone. I'm Austin Jacobsen, filling in for the Hap today, as we do have a caller here on 1620 The Zone. And I believe we've got random Mike. Mike, what's going on? How you feeling?
Hey, I was, first of all, watching on YouTube, certain angles, you look a lot like Kugler.
I've gotten that before. The unfortunate part is, and Mike, I'm going to share this with you. You can't tell anyone.
Okay.
I think I'm losing my hair. I got a big clump that came out last week in the shower, and unfortunately, I think the hair that ties me to the look of Kugler may be coming to an end. So I may be doing a turkey trip here in the summer. I may be unavailable, but I appreciate the Kugler comment.
If you listen to some of your many commercials for men's inadequacies, these things are not fatal anymore. There are things you can do.
All right, I appreciate that. I should listen to the sponsorship. You are correct. Mike, what's on your mind? What's going on?
You said something intrigued me, as I told your great producer, that you're a Carolina football fan?
Yeah, an actual one, too. Just like Happer. Me and him, we share the same love of the old Carolina Blue.
Oh, is it Carolina Blue or the Panthers?
Well, the Panthers, yes. The same shade.
How long have you been a Panther fan?
Since Madden 2006. I thought Jake Delhomme looked great in the black-on-black uniforms with the blue stripe down the side.
So when Matt Rhule was the coach, you were a Carolina fan?
Yep, that was an experience. This has been my
dreaming that he would be the Husker coach.
I wouldn't call it a dream. It was a nightmare at the time.
Exactly. That's what I was wondering. What you thought of him as a Carolina football fan?
All right.
Well, he was the coach.
Yeah. Great question, Mike. When I had first heard some of the rumblings that Rhule was involved, I had originally fully blamed Matt Rhule for ruining one of my favorite football teams in the Carolina Panthers. I have matured and come to realize that Matt Rhule may not have been the problem in Charlotte. It could be one David Tepper, the owner, who, known for throwing drinks and spilling alcohol on guests and fans and visitors. I'll say this. I think a lot of the things that Rhule wanted to employ in Carolina are on the same basis and belief in which he has done so far at Nebraska, but the buy-in is much different than it was from the fan base here at Nebraska than it was in Carolina. Because at Carolina and in the NFL, you have to win quickly. And it's been proven you can turn around franchises, a la Washington this season. Now, what Rhule has done differently is that he has more time to be able to do that and at a different type of scale, right? When it comes to college football, and especially at Nebraska. And when you get the fan buy-in to believe that your process will take a little bit longer, I think that makes a huge difference. I will say this. One of the biggest markers that you could say about Matt Rhule that he would work out no matter where he went, and this goes, if it doesn't work out for Nebraska moving forward, no matter where Matt Rhule goes, every player that's ever played for him always loved him and always speaks very highly of him. Christian McCaffrey still talks highly of Matt Rhule. Amir Abdullah was very high on Matt Rhule during his one-year stint in Carolina. There was a lot of Sam Darnold that talked highly of him. There's a lot of NFL players that didn't have great seasons in Carolina that really appreciated Matt Rhule for what he was as a coach.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I have yet to hear a Carolina Panther fan think that he was the solution as the coach, to put it nicely. But having watched him and looking, one of your famous callers on this program, Rich from Myrtle Beach, who's very entertaining and has a lot of facts at his disposal, big Carolina fan. I think he's the kind of coach. There's a lot of great qualities, but he needs good assistants, maybe good coordinators. And trying to be positive here, I think maybe he's got them now, particularly on offense, but I think on defense and hopefully in special teams. Would you agree? He needs some good people under him. He's not necessarily a great X's and O's guy.
Yeah, I've said this before. Unfortunately, I had hosted the Big Red Overreaction for the Indiana game with Gary, and it was apparent from that contest, really moving forward, that Matt Rhule was brought up somewhat defensive, kind of worked on the offense, had experience as an offensive line coach, but he was a guy that is a great manager, a great CEO of football, but he is not one of the premier minds when it comes to either side of the football or special teams. What his specialty is built on relationships and loyalty. And in any program, college basketball, lacrosse, polo, football, any sport. Yeah, had to throw polo in there. You can build a good program based on relationships and loyalty, and I think that does mean something. But the problem is that it can also be your biggest deterrent, as we saw over this past offseason and the last season for Husker football. Sometimes if you are too close to certain players, if you are too close and too attached to certain coaches, I think it can really detract from your ability to get back on track with where the team or the program needs to move forward with. Because the phrase loyal to a fault definitely applies with Matt Rhule. And I think that happened a couple of times too, even in Carolina, where he trusted a bit too much more than he had maybe needed to when the NFL needs quick turnarounds, quick fixes, and you're at the disposal of a lot of money where you can get great people in. That'll be the biggest hurdle that Rhule has to overcome, is using the resources you have and balancing the resources with the ability to bring in people that are Matt Rhule's guys, that know the Rhule way, right?
Yeah, no doubt. But I'm really encouraged that now he's going to have better coordinators, particularly on the offensive side. And look, the great Bob Devaney, who's really the hero of Husker football in terms of turning things around and getting things going, he needed good assistants. And he had great qualities as the overall leader. And I think you could say that about the Rhule. And I'm agreeing with everything you're saying about loyalty, but that's true across the board. One quick thing about Husker basketball. And again, I'm trying to be positive here. And here's the prediction. Nebraska will not only make the tournament, but win at least one game in the tournament. But it's probably going to be the NIT.
So you circumvented the tournament conversation, just changed the tournament circumstance then.
Yeah, and you know what? The NIT isn't that bad.
No.
If you don't make the NIT or the NCAA, that's bad.
Yes.
And this team could have won yesterday. Could have won. You make free throws, you beat Iowa, and in fact, you win the game yesterday if you make free throws. They're a good team. Josh is right. Now, whether he's being sarcastic or not, I can't say for absolute sure. I tend to think he probably is. But
Josh sarcastic? No.
Exactly.
No.
They are a good team, and they can be a very good team. And you know what? The NIT is not the end of the world. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think when your expectation and you hope that the standard becomes the NCAA tournament as, another Nebraska-based team located 50 miles away from Nebraska knows more regularly, going to the NIT is a pretty walk back and a step back to where you hope the team goes. But I can't disagree with what you're saying. But like I said a little bit ago, I'm so doom and gloom on this until there is a W in that column moving forward. I can't buy stock on Nebraska right now.
Yeah, it's not looking good with a four-game losing streak, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
All right, take care. Good luck, man.
All right, Random Mike, appreciate it. Random Mike on the 1620 phone line, appreciate that. Man, a lot. He just kind of bullet pointed there. Went from Carolina to Matt Rhule to Nebraska basketball. Maybe they need to bring back the dunk contest. That's what
that really spurned them last year.
That's
right?
what we need.
Yeah.
Get Emmett Johnson out there. Put it in his NIL. If you can perform one all-star dunk contest at a halftime of a Nebraska basketball game, we'll give you X amount of dollars.
Now you're thinking. I like that.
We got a Jeremiah Charleston on the team. He could go. Yeah. Honestly, 105-man roster limit. You should put end of spring. So this would be a baseball thing. End of spring, the guys that are between 104 to 107. They have an all-star batting home run derby, top of the 7th inning. And whoever wins the derby gets the final roster spot for the Huskers.
I love this idea.
I kind of like the idea because, I mean, if you think about it, you would sell out the Husker baseball facility in a heartbeat. If you tell them that, do it the day after the spring game, just do it on that Sunday, final day of like whatever series that is.
I would watch the hell out of this.
BTN would have a heyday with that because then you could have 2 broadcasts.
Oh yeah.
I Listen, I think this is one of the better ideas that you could come up with. Think of the NIL. Come on, Troy. Put it in.
Come on, yogurt man.
I love the idea of using the 100 to 105 roster positions as just purely entertainment value, where you just add extra incentive for fans to come to like a Nebraska basketball game and be like, all right, fans, we've got 10 Husker football players vying for one spot on the 105-man roster, and you get to determine by a dunk contest. And it's just the, walk-on kids from Atkinson trying to like find their way and dunk in the lane and do their best to 360. I think that this is a fantastic addition and idea. Is it practical? Probably not. But
it's all about eyeballs. Yeah. It's all about how much attention you can garner for yourself. Like it's not actually about the 105th best player on that team, right?
I also like it as like, you do it during like the women's basketball game and you have the old, the baby races and stuff. Like we just, all those like little intricacies, have someone try to perform like one of the halftime performances, like replicate it where they like balance like ladders on their chin, do that sort of stuff. I think that there's a significant opportunity here for some value.
My child was very intrigued by a guy balancing a ladder on his chin.
Yes.
The other day.
That was electric. I saw that at one of the Creighton women's games a couple weeks ago. That was, how do you learn that? How do you find that talent? Like what
you know what I think childhood? I can do? Yeah. I just don't understand all right, I'm pretty good at balancing stuff on my chin. Let's see how big I can go.
Yeah, right? Because they take a big step up. Like he starts with like an encyclopedia and then he goes to a bike. Like what's in between? Like is a table between that? Do you go like a vase, mugs? I don't know. But what college degree that guy has, I don't care. I want to know his backstory. I need like a 30 for 30 on just that guy. And it can only be 30 minutes because I don't need to know about like gambling debts or whatever reason he got into it. So
I think it's fun. You think that guy has a college degree.
It's probably like dance or I don't know.
Marketing. Yeah. Okay. I shouldn't have poo-pooed him.
No, sorry. No. All right. Appreciate the call, Random Mike. Man, what a thrill. What a thrill that was. I just loved having my mind race a little bit about all the different experimentations you could do. Because then it's like the reverse of all of those feel-good videos you see of kids winning, like, or getting on scholarship and everyone like surrounds them and hypes them up and everything. It'd be like Squid Game where everyone's like running 100-yard dashes and they're like, oh man, 4 guys just lost their scholarship. And then Rhule just sends him off.
I'm sorry.
Please exit to the door to the right. Leave your jersey hanging on the door. They should start doing this for Hard Knocks. I would watch Hard Knocks in a heartbeat if they started doing it like this.
You're a big Survivor guy, so if there was a competition reality element to it, you'd be all in.
Just voting him off too. Mm-hmm. Tribe dynamics.
Look, I think he's good for the team, but he's really annoying. Leaves his socks all over the floor. I can't work like that.
Guys, we got to get rid of Ty Robinson. He's getting too powerful in this game.
His ass is too big.
He just accepted a Reese's Senior Bowl. We can't compete with that.
Come on. Guys.
How are we getting playing time? Not a bad thought. Not a bad thought. All right, quick break. We'll be back more here on the Conner Happer Show. Hopefully we get more into some NFL talk, but who knows? You got any ideas you want to call in? You can also hit up the YouTube chat line as well. You can find it, 1620 The Zone TV, and hang out with us here at Conner Happer Show, 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
All right, 1620 The Zone, Conner Happer Show. I'm Austin, filling in for Happer today. That is producer Josh hanging out with us. And we got some odd news with Odd Son. What's happening? What's going on in the world?
Oh, that's a very loaded question, Austin. I'm sure.
Something important happening today?
Couple things. Two, three things. One of them being, let's take a moment to update you on the torturous season Doug Gottlieb is having in Green Bay.
The man with two jobs?
Yes. And he thought it'd be easy to host a radio show and coach a college basketball team at the same time.
Right.
Green Bay has lost 15 games in a row. They're like 2-17, I believe, 0-8 in Horizon League play. They lost to a D2 school earlier this year.
Nobody State.
Yeah, Nobody U. And he got into a strange Twitter beef with Adam Schefter. This is all just to update you if you haven't been keeping up on what Doug Gottlieb's been doing this year.
Because that's what people, wish to do with their free time is, I wonder what Doug Gottlieb's up to.
That's why I'm updating him here, because I understand not giving Doug Gottlieb the peace of mind. One time he was doing fill-in for his radio show in Omaha, and he was working in a building that I was working in, and somebody said, "Oh, hey, do you like sports? Do you want to meet Doug Gottlieb?" And I said, "No, I don't.
Okay. Thank you, though."
No, he's right down the hall. Like he's doing a show in the other room here. You want to meet him? No, I'm good. Thanks.
Wow.
Friday.
Celebrity ranking Doug Gottlieb not high.
Yeah, I would not walk down the hallway to meet Doug Gottlieb. Friday represented a microcosm of what this season has been like for Gottlieb as he attempts to balance hosting a radio show and being a head coach. Before Friday night's game against Robert Morris, remember they beat Kentucky that one time, Gottlieb took to social media to post a video of a blunder during the Fairfield Niagara women's basketball game where a woman accidentally shot one into her own hoop.
Yep.
So he was presumably mocking this woman. And I don't know if you've been on social media lately.
They usually take that pretty well, don't they?
Yeah, they did not let, at this time, it was 14 consecutive losses. Doug Gottlieb mock a women's basketball game. They went out, blew a 5-point lead to Robert Morris, eventually lost by 22.
No.
First 10 minutes of the second half, Robert Morris jumped out on a 26-0 run. So it's going well up in
That's
Green.
Such a shame.
He deleted the tweet.
Oh, no, Doug.
Yeah.
Come on. I hate that his Twitter handle is @Gottlieb Show as the head coach of a program. I just don't like that.
Yeah, you might want to change it, but I guess it's all about marketing, right?
Also, welcome to the Tundra in that description of his page. It's fantastic. Welcome to the Tundra.
Anything about credit card fraud in there?
He's also got dual location ship on his X account, Orange County, California, and Green Bay, Wisconsin. So good for him.
Yeah, okay. Good work if you can get it.
Yeah. Thanks, Doug. Thanks for the content. Appreciate it. Oh, Doug. How often has he appeared on this odd news? Is he often?
Not as often as I'd like. I'd like to just take a moment and laugh at him all the time, but
got to have a
I need an in other than, hey, they lost again.
Well, you could have had an in if you would have went down the hallway and talked to Doug.
Yeah.
You could have had the Doug Gottlieb minute here on the Conner Happer Show had you just spent just a moment of time with him.
Yeah.
Dang.
Live and learn, I guess.
Yep.
This is a story that has come up a time or two. It appears to be a fashion trend or an accessories trend. Someone out there is selling a bag. You know, women have, generally it's women, I guess I should say. They have this little, it's like a Ziploc bag. It's like the size of a sandwich bag, but it's a cloth bag of some kind.
Yep.
Yeah. They usually put like makeup and things like that, nail clippers, nail file, thing like that in it.
Vacuums, that sort of stuff, yeah.
Sure, yeah. That's
whatever they can fit in there.
Women be vacuuming, am I right? Well, this bag says definitely not a bag full of drugs. And
what could possibly be in there?
Where could I possibly be going on the odd news with Odd Son? Well,
is it Florida?
Oh, it is in Florida. A woman was arrested over the weekend. And when officers looked in her bag labeled definitely not a bag full of drugs, this is going to shock everyone. I hope you're all sitting down.
Oh, no.
It had drugs in it.
What?
Yeah.
What kind?
That's a good question, actually. Several drug-related charges, including trafficking of meth, possession of methamphetamine with intent to sell, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
This does sound like a meth-related crime.
Sure.
You got to label that, right? Like, you need your drug bag and your not drug bag to not be mixed. Because, I mean, what if you go in public with your drug bag?
The drug bag says it's not a drug bag. I thought it was a foolproof plan.
You hate when you switch your bag with someone else, and they just grab it off of the work post. Just, your cubby at the gym. Someone just takes your bag.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
In addition to the ironically labeled bag, deputies discovered meth, needles, Narcan, digital scales, small baggies, cut straws, and other drug-related items in the car. She had a whole factory going on in there.
Well, got to find work where you can.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough out there. Sorry, I fidget. I fidget during the show.
I thought you dropped your not drug bag for a second.
No. I keep my drugs on my person like an adult.
Right.
Yeah.
Can't leave that hanging around.
In a bag. And finally, we go to Turkey.
Home of the hair transplant.
Yes. Maybe you can meet this nice woman when you're there. I apologize to our Turkish audience. I'm going to butcher this lady's name.
It's Berke Bukancel.
No, her name is Gözde Dogan. She is a Turkish woman. She just set a Guinness World Record on Friday for squashing 5 watermelons in 60 seconds.
Nice.
Using only her thighs.
That is some woman. Oh, my goodness.
A clip, there's apparently video evidence of this as well. It shows Dogan sitting between 2 rows of watermelons, grabbing them one at a time, crushing them, and then cleaning the mess before continuing. Again, she crushed 5 of them in 60 seconds.
I respect that.
To set a world record. You better respect it or she will kill you. She is handed a plaque, told she is officially amazing, becoming the first person to earn the distinction of using the thighs to smash the most watermelons.
Oh, I'm watching the video now.
This is the first. She didn't break a record. She set the record. There was no record.
Oh, so she just saw it. She scrolled through, thumbed down the Guinness World Record book and was like, what's a record I could make myself?
What doesn't have a female category? Apparently there is a men's category.
She did it. She just squished these watermelon. These aren't okay. Some of them are broken. Never mind. The first one just got
or are they
kind of ruptured.
No, they can't be pre-cut. That's cheating.
They're not pre-cut. They're whole watermelon. These are also incredibly small watermelon.
Oh, okay.
These are not like county fair winning watermelon, which is fair. I expected them to be larger, but some of these she just kind of squeezed and they kind of just pop. Others completely crush. I respect the game either way. I can't wait for the next edition of the watermelon crushing competition.
Yeah, someone's going to see this and go, oh, well, okay.
She also
challenge accepted.
I'm going to say this and make sure that there is context. The woman who crushed the watermelon between her thighs cleaned herself off with a towel after each watermelon.
Yes.
The context, yes.
That's the interesting part to me because
seems like you'd lose some time in that.
I feel like maybe you probably could have gotten one more in. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe she thought, well, there is no record. I'm not like when Usain Bolt would pull up at the end of the 100 meters because he got a bonus every time he broke it.
Exactly.
He's like, well, I can't max out.
I respect the game. This is definitely a sport Dana White's going to get a hold of somehow, some way. This is going to be in Vegas, 2026. You're going to go on some bachelor party or you're going to hear of someone that's like, hey, I was on the strip and you never believe what I saw. And it's just going to be all these Herculean women just crushing watermelon. Right?
I'd probably buy a ticket.
I would.
Can't immediately say I would not buy a ticket.
Would watch on TikTok.
I'd watch it 3 weeks later on IG Reels.
That's mean. They're updated now. That's good. Good work. Odd News with Odd Son for Monday, too. The weekend reading. So do I have to go to Turkey to see the next one, the next bit, I guess, of watermelon crushing? Or should I hope that it just arrives at the States? Like, is it only an international competition so far?
Oh, do we have like a top American for this?
Yeah. I'm just going to Google top American or top female American. Female American.
I mean, I imagine
watermelon.
in the weightlifting community, there is someone in America who could do this, right?
Oh, there actually is someone.
Is that presumptuous of me to say?
There is someone. Her name is Courtney Olson. She was our top American watermelon thigh crusher. That's something.
By name?
Yeah. Courtney Olson.
Courtney Olson.
Thank you, Courtney.
Where'd she go to college?
I mean,
is she Big Ten? Is she SEC?
She's probably from Minnesota. Probably.
Okay, so that is also what I thought.
She's an American-Australian bodybuilder, a personal trainer, and athlete. And she is credited as an athlete. She gives talks to the FBI? Whoa. She's also an arm wrestling champion. We are just going down a wormhole of information now. Okay. This is incredible.
Oh, she spells Courtney very
differently.
Unusually.
Yes.
Outside the norm.
Yes.
Not that it's good, not that it's bad.
She's also the founder and CEO of some company. This is incredible. What a great get. Odd News with Odd Son. We're finding all of our greatest American athletes in one segment.
Wow, she has her own Wikipedia page.
We should send her to talk to the aliens when they arrive. She's probably our best line of defense in case of emergency.
Yeah, you're not getting through there.
Yeah. Courtney Olson, The Rock. Those are my two picks. Maybe they just do it as like a sign, a gesture of like goodwill, where they crush a watermelon between their thighs, and they're like, "This means peace in our land."
Definitely, yeah.
Do you ever hear the story of Mike McCarthy smashing watermelons to like motivate his team?
No.
Yeah.
The free agent coach?
Yes. I can't remember if he did it for the Packers. No, he did it for the Cowboys. It was 2020. Mike McCarthy inspired Dallas Cowboys by smashing watermelons. This is November 23rd. The Cowboys would win 31-28, snapping a 4-game losing streak to improve to 3-7 with a win over the Washington football team. Huh. The NFC Beast strikes again. Wherever he ends up next, probably Chicago. He should bring in Courtney Olson to inspire the team. I brought in someone who can only motivate in one way, and she will do this through demonstration. Great work, Josh. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
That's Odd News with Odd Son. When we come back, I think it's only fair. We probably should get into some Creighton basketball, right? Big weekend. And big news. Ryan Kalkbrenner, Big East Player of the Week. We'll get into all that. That's next right here. 1620 The Zone and the Conner Happer Show.
he does it the only way he knows how. With his massive sports brain sprinkled with a smidgen of rabble-rousing.
Let's get back to the Conner Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back, 1620 The Zone, Conner Happer Show. Austin Jacobsen in for Hap today. As we kick off the noon hour, we haven't even touched on one of the biggest stories across college basketball over the past few days. In fact, we even started with Nebrasketball. We let the Big Red dominate the early conversation in the opening 2 hours. How dare we?
They're good.
Sure. But you know who is good?
Who's good?
Greg McDermott and the Creighton Blue Jays. Which I haven't seen.
Show your work.
I haven't seen an AP Top 25 team poll yet. I don't think that it's out. I think it comes out at 1. But that is true, yes. Not out yet, so should be out later today. I don't think Creighton will be in the top 25, but they will probably be receiving votes because of a big win against Dan Hurley. And they won the, as you called it, the Hell in a Cell contest. What a day.
Right. Hell in a Cell.
Mm-hmm.
Always a raucous environment when Creighton and UConn get together.
I was shocked just watching part of that game, and it's the same conversation that like people outside of Nebraska will point at Husker fans and will be like, oh, what else is there to do in Nebraska? It's, okay. What else is there to do in Stores, Connecticut at noon on a Saturday?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you're legitimately just like asking for like, yeah, we're definitely going to be able to go and fill up this arena and make it a raucous environment. Which, by the way, if it hasn't been said yet on these airwaves, huge shout out to John Bishop's voice for just surviving. I mean, that was the real Hell in a Cell.
Oh,
My goodness. I was nervous listening to that. And when he tried to hit an upper octave there in the late second half, it sounded like game over for that broadcast.
I felt so bad because it was such an exciting game. And I knew, like, I could hear it in his soul that he wanted to, like, get amped up about it, but he just knew he couldn't.
Yeah.
And he had to restrain himself.
Which good for him on restraining the energy because he made it through. He got all the way through. And he got a great quote from Jemiah Neal at the end of it, too. I mean, what more could you ask for? John Bishop just crushed it. He did a fantastic job. But that actually is where Happer will be on Tuesday. So in case you haven't heard yet, that is why he is out today, traveling with Creighton. And he'll be back on Thursday as well after Creighton takes on DePaul. But a big win in Big East play. Max said it last week during his press conferences. Every single win in the Big East is big. I would argue that if Creighton were to win on Tuesday, I think Saturday's win is probably a little bit bigger than a win over DePaul.
Wow.
Maybe.
Bold.
I listen, I don't want to get too hot takey here. Just going to say the Blue Demons maybe don't match up to the same level as the Yukon Huskies. That being said, Dan Hurley has kryptonite, and it is very clearly the Creighton Blue Jays. He's now 8-3 all time against Greg McDermott. And
strike that, reverse it.
Oh, yeah, sorry. 2-8. My bad. I was thinking the other way. Appreciate you. Listen,
I got you.
I need you, and then on Blue Jay Shooter, I need Joey to keep me sane and on track.
I'm listening to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, the YouTube comments would have eaten me alive there. Couldn't have that. By the way, do you want to know a hilarious stat that just started? I don't know why I got this text, but my friend from Central Nebraska actually texted me, and he goes, hey, enjoy what you're doing. You've lost 10 followers since the show started.
Oh, no.
And I asked him, I was like, why are you tracking that? And he goes, I don't know. I just had a feeling to look at the number.
just my gut.
Good on him. Shout out Ryan. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Friend.
That's a friend. Keeping track of my stats for me.
Yeah.
Also keeping track of stats too. Worst record against any Big East foe, Dan Hurley against Creighton too.
Oh, wow.
It's shocking. I mean, it's just kind of one of those teams, and it's so weird to be on the reverse side of this, right? Like you know that you have another team's number, and no matter what they do, you'll always be in their head. This is how it feels to be like I've never experienced it from this side, right? Where there's like a powerful program that's had some of the highest highs you could possibly have over the past few years, and you're rooting for the team that they can't beat, that they can't overcome. And yet Creighton has yet to make it to an NCAA championship game. They have not went to the Final Four, but here they are. the thorn in the side of Dan Hurley and the Yukon Huskies, who can lose inside of the continental United States. It's not just over Feast Week in Hawaii. So no matter where Dan Hurley goes, Creighton will always follow. I'd also like to think that at some point, Saturday, I'd say Saturday night, something tells me Dan Hurley doesn't nap. I think Saturday night he laid his head on his pillow and woke up in a very heated sweat, thinking about Jemina. Man, what a game, though. I mean, the performance to get Creighton going in that contest, too, it wasn't even astronomical over performances by your two best players. And Ryan Kalkbrenner did earn Big East Player of the Week. That was announced just a bit ago. But you look at the other side, Stephen Ashworth didn't have an astronomical game. They played very well. But when they needed those two in a certain stretch, they got those two into a big part of the game. The closing run on a 10-4 run by Kalkbrenner and Ashworth, and going combined perfect 8 of 8 attempts from the free throw line. I mean, you couldn't draw it up better for your two premier players and your two leaders of your program to step up when called upon. But you add in the fact that Isaac Trout had Grand Island, 30,000 population there, standing on their feet and saluting in Blue Jay Blue. And then you get the Jemiah Neal performances. Creighton turned a corner, but it's almost one of those that you kind of want to be cynical and ask yourself, is it just because they played UConn that they could get up for UConn and they figured it out and they looked very good then? And no, it wasn't a perfect performance. They didn't win like they did, last year where they blew them out by like 20. But it was just one of those contests where you kind of keep pinching yourself in the stress of the moment and saying, is this sustainable? Is this who Creighton can be or will be moving forward? Everybody that I've seen so far moved them up. They're, like I said, likely going to be receiving votes in this week's AP Top 25. They've moved up significantly into potentially even having, I saw not a KenPom ranking, but I saw a bracketology that had them as an 8 seed. So they went from, just hoping to make the tournament, being one of the last 4 in, going off resume, to now wearing their home uniforms.
New poll is out.
Okay.
Let me...
Ask and you shall receive, I suppose.
Count on the radio. 26, 27, 28, 29, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm going to guess 32.
6, 7, 38th place.
Okay.
2 votes.
Nice.
2 points or votes or whatever.
I think it's by points.
Yeah.
You receive votes, but the votes are tallied, certainly. So basically 2 points means you earn 2 number 25 votes.
Okay.
Is how I understand. Or they earned, I think, 124, maybe. It's something like that. I'm not a part of the Associated Press, so what would I know?
UConn fell 5 spots to number 19. Nebraska, not on this list.
What? But they're good.
That's what I'm saying.
That's crazy. That's crazy. The AP is overlooking them. How dare they? How dare they?
I imagine there's probably a calculating error here.
Speaking of Big East, Marquette dropped 3 spots. They're at number 10 now. After they lost to Xavier and almost had their entire world turn upside down against DePaul. But only 3 Big East teams, yeah. So UConn and their St. John's is at 20. That's almost, that feels so disrespectful to St. John's. No matter what they do, there will always just be a spot behind UConn. They'll never get back up there. They've been 20 for 2 weeks now, just sitting and hanging around.
Yeah, Patino will use it as a motivating tool.
Yeah, he'll use it for something. But again, just a tremendous, tremendous, beautiful thing that the Creighton Blue Jays able to get a big win in Stores. Now you got to keep it rolling. Got to keep moving. I love. Oh, look at this. Douglas in the chat. Don't include McDermott. He is the luckiest coach right now. He has 2 30-year-olds playing for him who are very, 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 3 varies. Good at college ball. When both are gone, mark my words, CU will be subpar. It's almost like they said this, I don't know, a couple of different times in Greg's career here at Creighton. Oh, well, Doug's no longer a Blue Jay, so his run's done.
You were lucky to get him.
Well, how will you ever replace Trey and Baylor? How will you ever replace X, Y, and Z? This narrative has been said a couple of times, and it brings up an excellent point that I know many Creighton fans will definitely back into, especially after Saturday's win, is if Greg McDermott, if the season goes out the way that it should after this point, how Creighton is feeling, where everyone is kind of at with where Creighton is, there's no reason Greg McDermott should not win Coach of the Year in the Big East, right? But when you think about it from just like the conference's perspective, I think everybody genuinely like respects his game and what he's able to do. But will they say, oh, well, you lost Pop Isaacs, but you still had like Stephen Ashworth, you still had Ryan Kalkbrenner, you kind of had these players already in. Do they give it back to, maybe it goes to Rick Pitino for St. John's this season. Maybe you go to Marquette, hand it over there. I feel like the local perspective from here is definitely starting to grow a little bit more into the conference's perspective, where Creighton is now figuring it out and they're going to keep climbing. It's just a matter of if they can keep it sustainable and keep it moving forward. It's almost like the opposite conversation we were having about Nebrasketball earlier today, where it's like, when are you going to dig yourself out of the cellar? It's kind of, for Creighton right now, well, when is the ceiling going to fall on them? When is that game that they slip up with? Is it going to be Seton Hall Saturday when they get back at home? Does everything kind of fall in on them? And do they have...
Can't lose the pink out game.
No. Do you have these games that are kind of ahead that you can see as like slip up or quote unquote trap games? And I mean, at this point, it's been a narrative. It's a good question to ask. When's the next time someone's going to get sick and throw up before the game even starts? Because it's happened more often than they would like to have happened at all. Creighton can't avoid the common cold or the kid sickness, whatever's going around. So how do you avoid more injury? How do you avoid that? How do you keep it riding high? The questions are still there, but I think you can see the trajectory of Creighton going and remaining steady far easier than you can convince yourself that Nebraska is going to turn around and end up on the same upwards trajectory between both programs. And I know this audience loves comparing the two teams. I hate to pit them against, I really do. I hate to put Nebraska and Creighton fans at odds. How dare I? But I mean, you can't blindly look at both teams and just say one is clearly on a projection higher than the other one. I mean, it's fairly obvious that
Nebraska is good.
They are good. They're so good. But snubbed from the top 25.
They
again.
won that game.
I'm telling you, man, this is just it's just watching part of that Saturday contest. You could feel like the stress coming out of the fans and kind of the arena just from the Yukon side, the Creighton side. You could read like the Twitter feed and all that sort of stuff that was going on. But when it came down to the game in itself and the players that were on the floor, I don't think that there was a stressed player for Creighton. They felt cool, calm, and collected. And again, to Doug's point, they have a very veteran roster, an experienced team that's used to this sort of stuff. So yeah, they should be ready for that type of moment. I think Creighton is going all sails forward and has no reason to look back. But again, that's one of my fears, is that in this next week or 2 weeks, can they slip up on that banana peel, and when will that come? More questions than answers for one side of the state's program. I think we are getting more answers for the questions for the Creighton Blue Jays. All right, rest of the show, we still got plenty to get to. We'll talk a little bit more about all the basketball happening. Sam McKewon, the Omaha World Herald, he'll be on at 1 o'clock. I've got some beef with Tony Romo, as I'm sure many people have. I know. Who won it? He's good.
Tony Romo is good.
Tony Romo is good. And more talk about those NFL championship games that are going to be happening on Sunday. All ahead next right here, 1620 The Zone. It's the Conner Happer Show. I'm Austin, filling in for the Hap today. All right, 1620 The Zone, Connor Happer Show, Austin Jacobsen in for Happer today. Happy to be with you. It's cold out there. Take care of yourself. There always seems to be some significant weather event happening. And cold isn't that significant, but it's a significant cold, I was told.
Oh, yeah, we were below zero at one point.
I've never heard it described this way, but I heard it yesterday. Or no, did I see it? Yeah, I think I saw it on the interstate when I was driving to the Supernovas match. They called it suffering cold.
Oh.
Which is interesting. I've never heard it suffering cold because to me, all cold is suffering. I'm a warm body person. I can deal in like my house is cooler, but I don't handle the cold well. If that adds up. You following me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I don't mean to lose you. I don't want to lose you there.
No, I've just never heard of it. I'm still stuck on suffering cold.
Right? Suffering cold. Never happened in Gary Sharp's house, that's for sure.
No.
It's never been suffering cold in there.
Physically impossible.
Where it was suffering cold was really all of the title games outside of Detroit. But as soon as he stepped back outside of that Ford Field Dome, it was cold. Because moving on to the AFC and NFC championship games, the Washington Commanders, as well as Philadelphia Eagles, taking down the Los Angeles Rams, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Evil Empire, and of course Taylor Swift will now take on, Taylor Swift and Caitlin Clark will now take on the Buffalo Bills in Arrowhead Stadium, all those 2 games on Sunday. Bigger surprise for you, because I assume you were watching, doing your thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bigger surprise, was it Washington winning just in any capacity at Detroit, or truthfully any of the other outcomes from the 3 other games?
Washington winning.
Right. Had to be. Now, them winning the way that they did, I don't think... I liked seeing people online being like, who could have seen this? I mean, if you could have told me that they were going to have 3 or 4 turnovers and Washington was going to just go, a 4th down turnover in the first quarter, yeah, I could see how they would win that.
Right.
Right? Like, that's not out of the realm of possibility.
They definitely laid the ground. The Detroit definitely laid the groundwork to get beat.
Yes. I tweeted it during the game too, and I still feel this today. We cannot keep stringing Detroit along like this. Like, even in that game, they were down 3 scores. They were down 17 points. And the announcers just kept, like, Tom Brady just kept pleading with them, just being like, there's not enough time. You don't have enough time. You've got to go. The only chance you have is to do this. And they just kept making it be like, well, there's still a chance. You could get an onside kick. And then another one.
Tom, I think if this and this and this happened.
It was over. It was so over. And yet we kept stringing along the Detroit Lions fans. And just like their franchise has, the one time in their history, a path to the Super Bowl goes through their town and their stadium. They were already in the NFC Championship game mentally, and they just whiffed it. And I fully blame, in this game, in more ways than one, Jameson Williams.
Oh.
He had 3 significant moments in this game.
Okay.
1 viral, 2 bad.
Yeah.
What do you think I'm going with first here? What do you think I'm going with first?
I mean, the one that strikes out is the gadget play pass.
Yes, that one obviously bad.
Clearly should have just thrown it out of bounds and lived to play another day.
Eaten it, done whatever. Don't need to get cute, but sure, that's the thing. We always hand wash ourselves to the Detroit Lions like this. That like, well, that's just who they are. They're always going to roll the dice. They are so much of a better offense than just doing these wackadoodle trick plays. But they decided to do that. Washington went down, took the lead, or commanded the lead even further, and moved on from there.
There was 12 minutes left. They were down 10 at that point.
Yeah.
Like, it was doable.
Yes. But then the next step before that throw is the conversation you have to have in your own head if you're the offensive coordinator and or the head coach, both of whom are pretty well regarded in NFL ranks. Ben Johnson's getting interviewed by every single team, and Dan Campbell bites people's kneecaps, according to his own resource. That just about, 20 minutes prior, Jameson Williams was hip thrusting the ground multiple times. And Ben Johnson internally thought, that's a guy that I want to have thrown the football in the fourth quarter for my team. I trust that guy to make a decision on a one-on-one pass opportunity. Being a little bit, on the edge there. But I think the biggest and the most egregious thing that he did to get Detroit out of that game is he had the post route at the end of the first half that Goff threw a pretty good ball. He just thought the ball was going to end up in his lap. Washington undercut it, got an interception, ended the half, and Detroit was down more than what they had. I think Williams cost them a lot of good opportunity and good points to actually be in that contest. And yeah, he's a young player. He's going to be an excellent NFL player. He'll be with the team forever, yada, yada, all that good stuff. But at what point does this shtick of Dan Campbell start to erode with this type of loss and this type of conversation, right? You specifically have one player that you had 3 opportunities to make big plays. He did one and made a huge touchdown run on a trick play, handoff, backwards, whatever, all that good stuff. And then proceeded to, Hingle McCringleberry himself almost into oblivion. And then you have 2 other chances when on the field play, he makes the incorrect decision on one and has poor technique on the other. Maybe I'm wrong. If there's a quarterback out there listening, if someone out there is a quarterback coach and is just, popping on to 1620 right now, please let me know if I'm wrong. I thought Jared Goff had a good throw that Williams needed to go up and make a play against. And instead, it was intercepted at the end of the half, and then Detroit was getting back into the game, but they never had a chance to take the game by the horns after halftime. It was mainly by that circumstance.
And now Dan is in Detroit. He's going to lose probably both of his coordinators. And, I'm going to say the obvious. You got to get the replacements right? Or else did the window close?
How far away? This is a little bit of a stretch, but hear me out. I'm going to Laffy Taffy this thing. How big of a stretch is it between Dan Campbell and Matt Rhule to say both are great coordinators away from being great people and maybe okay coaches? It was a dicey conversation.
Ooh, okay.
Because Dan Campbell has assimilated a great talented team. He's had a lot of key pieces that he has put into familiar places, and he's built a roster and a team that, again, the biting kneecap analogy, and we're tougher than everyone else, and we practice harder, and we do all these other things. We do the things that no one else will do. We listen to analytics, but we throw it out the window because we're always going to be aggressive. We're always going to go for it. We're going to do it our way. Some of those things sound pretty similar and pretty familiar to a team in Lincoln, if you ask me. And I know, again, hear me out. I'm stretching it a little bit, but I think we're going to get the real case of how good Dan Campbell is as an NFL head coach if both of his coordinators move on in the next year. Similarly, we will learn how good of a head coach Matt Rhule can be in bringing in the correct coordinators and guys to elevate his program in the next season. Different turnstiles of the same seesaw. One is going up, one is going down, but I don't think that they even out. I think we will find out a lot about the 2 head coaches in similar programs, at least from the football stance in that. Is that too far of an analogy? Am I stretching it too far?
I think your argument has good bones.
Thank you.
As homeowners would say on the HGTV. I think you got. I think you're onto something. There's a structure.
Right. It's not
a structure there.
It's not $1,000 infrastructure that we're working on, right? Yeah. We're not talking about like Detroit subhousing by any means. We are actually a part of good bones. In the chat, Andy says, when does Dan Campbell become Rex Ryan? At first, I didn't like that analogy, but the shtick that Dan Campbell has, I don't think is as apparent as Rex Ryan. I think Rex Ryan was just doing it because cameras are always on him and he was a hard knocks. I think this is who Dan Campbell is. This is just genuinely the guy that he is. I think everything that he says and he believes, he's always crying and emotional, that stuff. As a dude who wears emotions on his sleeve too, yeah, I get that. Listen, if I was Macho Man Dan Campbell, I too would probably react the same way that he would after games that I lost in the title game. But I think Rex Ryan is probably closer to being more of a shtick than he was Dan Campbell ever would be. On that same note too, I also believe that I think John Harbaugh, I'm going to be early to this. We're either entering the category of surprise fire or conversation starting.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Hot seat.
Yeah. And I don't think that they're going to publicly say it, but at what point are the Baltimore Ravens fans and the especially front office going to say, how long are we going to keep doing this? How long are we going to keep losing championship and divisional round games that we should have been winning, or at least been taken the next step to, because they have not yet broken through the cusp of the next round? No Super Bowl appearances for Lamar Jackson. That has to be frustrating. No chances at the overall title. And you hosted an AFC title game last year that you fell to the eventual Super Bowl champion. No shame in that. But at what point does your front office turn around and look, hey, listen, it's time. It's time that we take maybe a new approach and see what we can do. Would it be jumping the shark? Probably. I want to be the first, and if I'm too early, that's fine. But I think that we are approaching the surprise firing of a John Harbaugh, or at least that conversation begins. And trust me when I say, the minute that Baltimore starts to erode, we saw it, we even got a peek of it this year, a very, very quick peek of it when Baltimore started the season very poorly. You heard all the whispers and stuff of, oh, well, maybe not this season if it continues, but it could be a very quick turn down the opposite way. We do have a caller on. We got Joe here. And let's see, can I get this right here? Let's try this. Joe, are you there? Oh, hold on. What did I do wrong here, Josh?
A lot.
Oh, no. Put him on hold? Okay, you're getting on hold. Bang. Sorry, we're still learning the buttons here. There we go. Am I good now? Okay.
I did it.
All right.
Joe should be there. Joe,
how you doing? Sorry, Joe. Did I hit him on hold again? Joe, are you there? No, what am I doing wrong? Josh, you got to help me out.
Don't touch the button.
Okay, I won't. I'm just trying to be Gary Sharp. I'm trying to learn. Joe, please hang on.
You will never be Gary
I
Sharp.
will never be. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. All right. We got Joe now. I apologize. This is all me. What do we got here? Josh is helping produce so hard. All right. Joe, call back really quick. I apologize. I put you in the bad situation. All right, we'll get Joe back here in just a sec. Calling from the inauguration. That's probably what it is. That's my bad. Yeah, Nate, I understand it's great radio. I'm learning the buttons here. All right. Now we're getting him back on. So, thank you, Josh. You're working through me right now. I just had this really hot take, this great moment. Then I had to ruin it with the phones. I'm not going to touch a thing. It's going to be all Josh from here on out. All right, we got Joe. All right, Joe.
What is up?
Thank you, Joe. Sorry about that. My dumb fingers made for poor accusation.
You got cocky.
Yep, I was trying to point the blame somewhere else, but not at you. Joe, what's on your mind?
Hey, these phones are tricky. They're tricky now. Couple things that are on my mind.
Okay.
The coaching thing. I think people, and this is just sort of my take, is people's expectations on what a successful coach is out of hand. You got really good coaches. I mean, the NFL is so competitive. One or two coaches each year is successful. If you kind of look at, who wins a Super Bowl or who gets to a Super Bowl, to where Harbaugh, for example, a pretty good year, and he loses, against the Bills on a tight game. I still think that's a successful year. So if there's people calling for his job, I don't know. I think they're sort of, now granted, everybody wants to win, but it's such a competitive league. College football is the same way, to where it's, only one or two coaches is really a success when you boil it down at the end of the year. And if you go by those standards, well, you could fire everybody every year. And to me, it's just, Pittsburgh has got a good coach. Yeah. It's yet to be determined to see how Matt Rhule is. I mean, he's won 7 games as his best year. That's not great. So if he falls on his face next year, which I don't think they will, tragically, it's such a competitive thing that it's gotten a little bit out of hand. I think Mike Tomlin's a fantastic coach. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to fire him, but it's like, goodness gracious.
All right, Joe. Let me ask you this:
Yep,
who's your team? Like NFL team? I want to get a basis of understanding of where you're coming from.
I grew up a Raiders fan, and I'm not much of an NFL guy of recent years.
Okay, so you're just talking in general then.
Just in general.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a Raiders fan.
Yeah.
I still am a Raiders fan. I grew up a Raiders fan. Marcus Allen, Howie Long were the guys, Jim Plunkett. You know, I grew up when the Raiders were good, and the Raiders haven't had a good coach, in my opinion, since Gruden. But, you know.
The first time or the second time?
Not either time, right? But I think they fired him prematurely the second time. But
all right.
The stuff that he did was from years ago. The other thing I wanted to say was, you know, Cornhusker wrestling. Jacob Van D wrestled phenomenal. Ridge Lovett wrestled phenomenal. Penn State's a juggernaut.
Yep.
It was good to see that many people go to a Husker wrestling duel. And I think if they put that production on, they'd get more people on average to some of those duels. But Penn State's a juggernaut to where I didn't think we were going to win that duel anyway. But seeing Jacob Van D wrestle good and Ridge wrestle good, it was good to see. So that's what I got. Thanks, guys.
All right, Joe, appreciate it. Don't disagree. I tweeted it before the Nebraska wrestling match Friday night that I'm pretty sure Nebraska Athletics could say something along the lines of, hey, the women's rifle team is going to be in Russia on Friday in the middle of June if anyone wants to fly out, and they'd probably get 2,000 people to go and sell it out.
Well, the university asked.
Mm-hmm. Is the Nebraska rifle team good? Yeah. They beat like Army and Air Force every year, which is shocking.
They beat the service academies?
They do. Like every year, that's a concern, right? In different ways. But I guess for pride of your school, that's good.
Huh.
Fair, right?
All right.
The one thing I'll push back on this from Joe. Yes, you can always have good coaches. That's how it works. You can have rabid fan bases that don't agree with your coach and don't like where the program or the franchise is heading. But in any circumstance of major college football or in the National Football League, there's an expectation of winning that changes every year in every single different scenario. Detroit last year went to the NFC Championship game, didn't win. Detroit made it as the number 1 overall seed this year, something they've never done in their franchise, and lost in the divisional round. And you don't think that some fans in Detroit might be questioning about how they could get to the next level? Detroit's a bad example because I don't disagree with you in that sense. But if you don't think that there are Baltimore Raven fans that are yearning for another Super Bowl chance, that their last one came in, 2012 with Joe Flacco, elite Joe Flacco, and they feel that Lamar Jackson's a far better quarterback than Joe, I don't know how you could continue to say, oh, well, that's not a conversation we can have about moving on from a head coach to get to that next step, to get to that next criteria. I understand. It sounds crazy. It sounds a bit far in advance from where it is. I'm just saying that I personally would not be shocked if it were to come be that they look to try to see what else could be happening, at least for Baltimore. And I'll throw this out there too. If Sean McDermott can't get past Kansas City, I think those conversations also happen in Buffalo.
I did not think he would come back this year.
Yeah.
Because there was just so much turnover, and we forget it now, but there was sort of that, that was right when the, I forget what he said exactly, but it was like, he made a 9/11 joke.
Yes.
And there was like a 2-week period where we were really hyper focused on that.
Right.
And so I kind of thought they might not bring him back this year, but the Harbaugh one, I kind of think you're on an island on.
That's okay. I'm fine with being on that island, but I'm saying, I know I'm early, but I'm afraid.
Maybe that's it.
I think that I'm not alone in saying it out loud. I think that it's going to come sooner than we think that this conversation will start. Because, I mean, how many more times can you lose in the divisional round before you start to say, okay, well, what can we do to get past the evil empire of the Kansas City Chiefs, or to be at least contending with the Buffalo Bills? If the Bills overcome The Chiefs on Sunday, they're good. Wiped clean. Sean McDermott will stay as long because he's proven that they can get to the next step.
Yep.
Harbaugh has not in the past 12 years. He has not been able to do that. So what will it take other than other roster transformation? It's that simple conversation. Do you keep banging your head against the wall, or when do you try to go around it?
Nebraska rifle ranks 7th in the country right now.
Build it and they will come. We need a national rifle league now.
1-3 this season against Navy, though.
Ugh. Well, I'm actually okay with that record.
Why do they play 4 times against Navy in 1 year?
Is it play or compete?
Compete?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. That's probably the
more appropriate way to do that.
Also lost to Air Force. Army coming up on the 25th.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
That's a 7 a.m. start.
Yep. Whoa. What's the fan show? What's the attendance for a 7 a.m. rifle start? Need to know. I need to know. All right, quick break. We'll be back, and then we'll get you into some more football conversation before we hit Sam McKewon at 1 o'clock. This is the Conner Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Conner Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
1620 The Zone, Conner Happer Show. I'm Austin Jacobsen. Appreciate you following along today, listening on 1620 The Zone AM on the Zone mobile app, as well as on 1620thezone.com, and of course on the YouTube live stream and zonetv.live. Did I get that?
You nailed it.
Boom. It's like I've done this before. Just glad I didn't get blacklisted. I appreciate that.
And you'll do it again.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Be back Wednesday. Don't you worry about me. Don't you worry about me. I'm glad that Joe Buck was leading us in there because Tony Romo sucks, and I do not like him.
I
don't know, Jim.
Expand on that.
Jim. Really imposing their will, Jim. Oh.
I think
he sounds like he's like a member of the Family Guy cast. And he's always slouching in the crowd or the shots of them in the booth too. He's always like peering over. He's got the same demeanor as a raccoon that gets caught with the flashlight in the trash can where he's like, oh, it's on me. The light's on. Oh. And he had some egregiously bad commentary. He, at one point on Josh Allen's touchdown run, I think in the third quarter, where they ran power Josh Allen right, he circled two different players. He was like, watch these guys go in motion over here, Jim. They're going to go this way. And they didn't send anyone in motion, and he just ran straight right into the end zone. And I'm not like, I don't want to be a complete hater because, obviously this will come back to bite me at some point when Tony Romo, like, I don't know, wins a Super Bowl as a broadcaster somehow, some way. But I've been actively wondering, like, when did this downfall begin of Tony Romo? Like, I've been trying to like pinpoint it. And I think it was when Greg Olsen started to appear up and everyone liked what Greg Olsen was starting to do.
This guy's giving me something.
Right. And I don't know if Tony Romo's been saved by some bad performances by Tom Brady in the booth, but it feels like Romo got a huge reprieve this year comparative to years past. And maybe it was because Brady had some pretty bad ones early on. I think he's actually better though. I really liked his take over the couple of games we've heard him so far in the postseason.
He's very good at like the timing. Like,
yes. Yeah.
How do you know in 12 minutes that there's not enough time to no, he knows.
Yeah.
I think Tony Romo's problem for me, he just talks too much.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, okay, like if you were to boil down what you just said there, Tony, into like if you were to chop it in half, like just trim the fat on it, I think you'd be doing a pretty good job.
Yeah. Trimming the fat would be a perfect analogy for him because he for sure needs to be able just to cut down on the amount of just like, right. If he just limited the amount of noises he made, not even just got back to just standard English, I think he would be just fine. Like if I'm watching the game on closed captioning, which I did Saturday night, which wasn't his was Sunday night. But if I was watching on closed captioning, I feel like you would just get a lot of grunts, ums, and ahs. And not a lot of verbiage, which I need more of in commentary.
Audible moan. You need more words.
I mean, you're a movie guy, right? Like when you're watching like a movie that's like popped up on FX and you're just like flipping through, and it just says like adults panting. You're like, okay,
oh, okay, all right.
You can apply it. You can apply it the same way to a Tony Romo broadcast. You get the exact same thing.
Parentheses mouth noises.
I do think that there could be some redemption for Romo in some sense that he either becomes like this like folklore type commentator hero that like Joe Buck kind of was. And it's different because he's like the added piece to the broadcast booth, right? Like he's supposed to be the bacon, not the main dish. Where like Buck was just, when I was growing up, people hated Buck when he was doing a football game. They were like, that guy's not interested. He doesn't care. He is so checked out, has no reason to be here. I remember Super Bowls that people were like very upset that he was a part of the broadcast team for Fox. But now that he's like on ESPN and even his final years at Fox, there was like a huge momentum swing the opposite way where he became like this great hero.
No, and now, Buck's good, guys.
Yeah,
Buck's good.
And now people want him back for baseball, which I'm all for it too.
Yes.
He's like my voice of baseball, like growing up. And I don't think Romo will get that same sort of love and treatment on the opposite side, but it does make me wonder if it's possible for him. Because I don't think Joe did anything different other than maybe he was just himself a little bit more and not as so woe is me and so pouty as he sounded. But if Romo just keeps being himself, maybe the laws of averages just allow him to get back in the good graces of people.
I like how excited he's very excitable.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. I like the energy. You're excited. Like after all these years, you're still excited to come to a football stadium and call a football game. Like I appreciate that. But I think Tom Brady's going to do a Super Bowl here in a couple of weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to go well for him.
No.
So I think Tony's fine. Tony's just fine.
Maybe that's what Tony really needed, is he just needed one person to be worse than him on the grand scale, on the A-team list. So that way he could just settle back in and just be like, okay, you know what? I'm fine. I'm good because I just need to be hated man number 2.
I didn't do great last year. Maybe I'll do a little more work.
Oh, I don't know, Jim.
A little more prep this year.
I don't know if I have time.
Have someone be worse than me. One less golf a week.
That was definitely the biggest issue with Romo too, is if you look back on his career as a broadcaster, he came out of the gate way too hot because he was calling the plays. He was predicting everything. He was circling stuff and everybody loved him. And I think probably the biggest moment that he had his major drop off was like that third year when he started to do less of it and people noticed more of his like commentary. They just got it incorrect from there on out. And now, like I said, he had a full-on example of where he tried to bring it back in and then he just couldn't bring it back.
I did like whenever the Bills got to within the 3-yard line, he's like, that's a touchdown. That's a touchdown. On the next play. That's going to be a touchdown.
And if I remember right, I think he even he knows he's trying. He's like, oh, this is a good one. I'm going to say this. I'm going to add this one. Because you could hear it in his voice too. Because he goes, they line up in their like goal line set to do a basically tush push. He goes, oh, it's not a tush push, Jim. It's a Josh push. Okay.
All right. Or when he stumbled upon let cook.
Let James cook.
Let James cook. See what I did, Jim? Jim? See what I did?
Come on, Jim.
Cook.
Oh, what a guy. Love this from Andy. Romo's too comfortable calling games because of his Skechers. You're right. It's the rounds of golf. He's just too comfortable a human being.
Yeah.
He's way too casual.
No one's ever told him no.
Yeah. It's a shame. Someone needs to tell Tony Romo no.
We're here to knock him down a peg.
I hope he's listening. Take it down a notch, sir. But to be fair, you can always listen to the professionals here on 1620.
That's right.
That's, got the Westwood one broadcast.
Power's always on.
Speaking of which, my lookalike Kevin Kugler probably going to be. He'll probably be, or is it Harlan?
The Washington Detroit game was his last football game.
Such a shame. Such a shame.
UFL.
That's right.
Coming up.
Big Kugler guy.
College basketball.
Mm-hmm. He stays busy. He knows what he's about. They'll get him for another Creighton home game too. Pair him with Nick. Get him with Baugh.
Hey, you guys are minutes away. You want to do this game? Sure.
Sure. Why not? Might as well make the drive. Yeah. So all your Tony Romo hate, please put it in the chat. Let us know. And can't guarantee we'll ask Sam McKewon any questions about Tony Romo, but who knows? We'll definitely ask him about the Bears if there's any buyer's remorse. Yeah, the NFC North. Maybe I tried to go Tony Romo there. I was going to say the NFC Boar, but it didn't really work because it doesn't rhyme. I'll get my Tony Romo game right here on 1620 The Zone. This is a Conner Happer Show.
McKewon is the newsman. Sam McKewon, Omaha World Herald. On the Conner Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Conner Happer Show, 1620 The Zone. Austin in for Happer today. Sam McKewon joins us. Sam, how are you doing today? Have you survived the freeze?
I'm surviving it, but it is cold.
It is indeed.
Very, very cold out.
Yeah. Windshield
We're
not.
hanging in, though. I mean, by goodness, we've lived in Nebraska long enough to be able to deal with days like this.
Yeah. But it's always fun to complain about it, though, right? We got to have something to talk about.
Well, yeah. I mean, we don't have any snow, so we can't complain about that.
That is true. Talking about complaints, curious your thoughts. Any buyer's remorse with the Bears? You watch Jalen Carter, Jaden Daniels, some pretty big performances over the divisional round playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I think, somebody could argue for sure that the Bears should have taken Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams. But, I mean, I think everybody that was sort of judging that all thought that Caleb has the ability to be a great quarterback. And, I think he still does. I think he doesn't have quite as good of a head coach, and I don't think he has as good of an offensive coordinator. No, I don't have any buyer's remorse on Jalen Carter. No, I'm fine with getting the quarterback. The Bears need that, but Jaden Daniels has been great. He's been absolutely awesome, and happy for Washington. Mm-hmm. That franchise has made a lot of mistakes over the years, but they've righted the ship in the last couple of years, and they're reaping the rewards, and they have a genuine chance of winning on Sunday. I don't give them a great chance, but they got a shot.
We do have to think, if you're a Bears fan, the Commanders in Washington have kind of laid out how to rebuild your franchise. You got to start by getting rid of your owner and then kind of move forward from there, right?
Right. Well, I don't think they're going to be getting rid of the owners over there in Chicago, but yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a lot of things to try to get done. And, Dan Quinn's done a great job there. He's been very good in the short time that he's been there, and they've been able to turn it around quickly. And, they've had some players, and truth be told, the Bears do too. I don't think there's much difference between those two teams. I think the Hail Mary probably was a turning point for both teams. Mm-hmm. And the Bears win that game. Maybe the Bears, go 9-8 or 10-7, and maybe the Commanders do too. But that one play was huge and kind of flipped the season, and we'll see. The one thing, and Tom Brady's been up and down as an announcer so far, but he was right when he said yesterday the window closes every year, mm-hmm. and he's right about that. I think he was referencing the Lions, and he's correct. It actually closes every year, and then you got to kind of reopen it in the NFL. You can't guarantee that the operation is always going to be there. And he was referencing the Chiefs, actually, because he was impressed with what the Chiefs had done, and obviously the Patriots had too. So this is that moment for Washington. They cannot assume they're going to get back there. They have to take advantage of the chance they've got right now and go win it. Because the way that the NFL works, it's very hard to keep going back. I mean, Josh Allen hasn't been to a Super Bowl yet, and he's pretty darn good too.
So I'll ask you last, I guess, the championship round question here, Sam. Do you have a dream Super Bowl matchup between the four that are left?
I think the one that I would find most interesting is Buffalo and Washington. That's probably what I'm rooting for. I don't know that anyone else is rooting for that, but Buffalo, Washington would be the one I would root for. I think it's probably going to be, the Eagles, and then I think the other game's a total toss-up. I think the weather's going to play a factor. I don't know what the weather's going to be in Kansas City, but if the weather's good, if it's not terrible precipitation or terrible cold, I like the Bills a little bit more, because I think they're a little bit more diverse on offense than the Chiefs. So we'll see. I think that's a great game, and certainly the one that everybody's had circled on their calendar all year. happen, and it happened in the regular season. The Bills won, and we'll see what happens in the playoffs.
Well, moving to the other side of the spectrum, you talk about, games that kind of flipped a season with the Bears and the Commanders. Which game of the 4-game losing skid for Nebraska maybe have flipped on the opposite way for the Husker basketball team? It is downright dismal so far, especially after that Maryland loss yesterday.
Yeah, so everybody's going to say the Iowa game, and that's fine. They weren't going to beat Purdue, even if they had beaten Iowa. No offense. I didn't anticipate them going into Mackey Arena and winning. So the only thing the Iowa game would have done, I think, is say, hey, we got our, Nebraska got us road win, and there it is, and that would have helped their NCAA tournament resume. I think the game that they're going to kick themselves for, and now they got to go get it back, is Rutgers. I thought that they were outworked in that game, and Rutgers, won on the boards, even though they didn't technically win. They did. I mean, Rutgers outworked them on the boards and finished late, and so I think that was the game that nobody really expected Nebraska to lose. They had won several in a row against Rutgers, and frankly at home, and should have again. I think that's a game that Nebraska needed to win, but they're probably going to kick themselves for Maryland. I mean, Maryland didn't play very well yesterday. I thought Maryland looked very, very suspect, very sus, as my daughter would say, and no crowd. I mean, the fans weren't really into it. They're not very. I don't think Maryland's very good. Julian Reese is still there, Angel Reese's brother, but he's probably their best player, and I just don't see it. I know they got a freshman who's decent, but he didn't play very well. Yeah, I wasn't impressed with Maryland, and frankly haven't been for many years, 3, 4, 5 years. They just haven't been the program that I think we all kind of thought they might be when they got to the Big Ten. They haven't dominated it at all, and they've been mediocre. And I thought they were mediocre yesterday, and Nebraska had a chance to grab it, and they weren't able to get it done.
Well, as significant as, some would argue either the Iowa or Rutgers game, like you said, as a pivot point on the losing skid, it feels like the USC game coming up Wednesday is as big of a moving point for the season, because you look past USC, those next 3 or 4 games are kind of tough, whether it's travel, the opponent, a combination of both. Does it feel like it's kind of make or break at this point with that Wednesday night home game?
It's certainly an important one. You do at some point have to, break the losing streak, and USC may well be the team that you can do it against. I mean, they're interesting, right? Like they've had some really poor games this year, but then they've also been, won at where did they win at? Illinois, right? They won somewhere on the road where it was pretty impressive, and so you can't guarantee how they're going to show up. They did. They won at Illinois, which was pretty impressive. And so, you just never quite know what team's going to show up. And they've got some players. They're probably more athletic than Nebraska. I don't know that I would describe them as super locked in all the time, but their best shooter is, Desmond Claude. He's good. He's a good player. And then, they got St. Thomas, and he's been very versatile this season. He's had a nice season. And so I don't know. I do think Nebraska can win the game, and I kind of expect them to win the game, but they got to make shots. I mean, they can't go into every game and just sort of expect to make all the shots they need to make and play enough defense. And they're one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the Big Ten, and they have to figure out a way to fix that pronto.
And obviously that conversation kind of starts more with the coaching staff with Fred Hoiberg. I said it earlier that he kind of constructed this roster of a lot of different conglomerates of player types and positions and different body types and all that sort of stuff. How does he piece this back all together? Do you think that he's seen something that can continue to work, or does he have to keep kind of Frankensteining this roster in different lineups to find success?
Could be the latter. It seems to be the latter. It seems to be, he's going to try to figure out what group works and how they work together. That's what I'm seeing. I mean, Aaron Eulis showing up yesterday, and I thought he did some real nice things. He can't shoot, or hasn't been able to very well, and I think that's a concern. But did some really nice things, and probably earned more playing time over some of the other guys, and obviously Connor Happer was on the bench for a while there in the second half, and Burke Buchengel, he got off to a real nice start, made a couple shots early, then got in foul trouble. Looks like Andrew Morgan might get more of an opportunity based on his play yesterday. So yeah, I think they're trying to figure out, okay, which players work best together. Yesterday they had an intriguing lineup at one point with Bryce, Raleigh Wooster, Ulis, Gary, and I think it was Morgan or Mia. I think it was Morgan. And, that's basically one 3-point shooter above 30% on the floor, and that was Bryce. And so, you're asking a lot of Bryce and offensively in that moment. But the same thing that I think somebody within the beat pool, and they do a nice job, will ask Hoiberg tomorrow, well, why did Ulis earn more playing time? And my hunch is they'll say that Ulis pushes pace and just brings a different level of energy to bringing the ball up the floor, and I think that's probably correct. I think he does do that. Maybe they need more of that. I don't know. Remember, mid-season last year, Austin, they kind of switched. So Jamarcus Lawrence didn't. He started coming off the bench, and he didn't play as much. And they kind of made that shift. I can't remember what game they made it in, but they made it, and they did get better. And Bryce kind of took over the point, and they got a little bit better. We could see something similar. Maybe Aaron Ulis, now fully healthy, gets a little bit more playing time, and as a result, maybe he's doing more on the court, because there were some things he did yesterday that were impressive. So that'll be something to watch going forward. I think Fred probably figures they need something. They've lost 4 in a row. They haven't been blown out in any of the 4 except for the Purdue game, but I think he feels like they need something, and they need to jumpstart something because it's not quite coming together.
Want to flip to college football and Nebraska. Obviously, the Thomas Fidone move. A bit of surprise, I guess, for the general Nebraska fan base. I think some expected him to either enter the portal, didn't know where he was in standing with the Nebraska football program. From what you know, maybe from your best guesstimation, was this a Fidone move, or was this a Nebraska move moving on from Fidone?
I think Fidone's ready to move forward. I think, he was going to have to go back in and battle for time and battle with Lindenmeyer, and of course Carter Nelson and Mac Markway, who's going to be healthy, and he's probably going to be a pretty darn good player. Everybody forgot about him, the LSU transfer that got hurt. I think this is Thomas Fidone's ready to do it. I mean, Thomas has been around a while now. I remember we did the Super Six during COVID, and we did it like out by where was it? The CHI back behind there, and we did it with some vintage cars and outside, and that was in the fall of 2020. So we are now in 2025. I mean, it's been a while, so I suspect he figures it's time. He's been in college for 4 years. Could he have the kind of season next year that changes the conversation to the point where he doesn't have to go to the Senior Bowl and he doesn't have to go to the Combine and prove that he's draftable? Maybe, but that's a long season. And I think he probably just is ready to go. He could have transferred somewhere. He could have stayed at Nebraska for money, and I think he could have transferred for big money. I think he deserves some credit for going out and getting it in the NFL. He's just ready to do it and move on with his career. Again, he's been in college now for 4 years. I think he's ready to go. I think he's ready to move forward. So I think a lot of this was Thomas.
Sam, I'll let you out on this one. Obviously, national championship game tonight, Notre Dame, Ohio State. Which Catholic are you going with, the Fighting Irish or Ryan Day?
Well, I think Ohio State should win the game. They have more talent, and their talented players play really hard. Their 2 best players are maybe their 2 hardest workers in Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs. So Ohio State should win the game. That said, Notre Dame can win the game. And I'd cite there's two games in college football national title, or three really in recent history, but two in particular. When Penn State beat Miami in '86, and then Ohio State beat Miami in '02. In both of those games, the teams that, Ohio State and Penn State should not have won the game on paper, but they did win the game actually because they played incredible defense. And that's what it'll take from Notre Dame. They have to have an incredible effort. Their intangibles need to be really high. Let me say this. I felt like last year when Michigan played Washington and the year before when Georgia played TCU, that we were in for pummeling. Like it was going to be ugly because both of those teams, that Washington and TCU, were not ready for the physicality of the teams they were playing. And it was embarrassing. Both games were embarrassing. They were not prepared for that. Notre Dame is prepared. They don't think they're going to look like that. I do think that Ohio State could win the game 31-17 or something like that, but I don't think it's going to be, oh my God, what the hell have they been doing? Like the last two have been. I certainly hope so. I hope that we get a competitive football game and it's just not a run out of the park. Notre Dame is physical and they are built for this in ways that TCU and Washington were not. And so I think we're going to get a competitive game with Ohio State winning the national championship.
Sam, appreciate your time, and I hope you're right. I love a competitive game as well. We were talking earlier that it feels like the college football title game hasn't lived up to expectations the past few years.
Agreed. We'll see.
All right, Sam, appreciate your time as always. That is Sam McKewon, Omaha World Herald, joining us. Have a great rest of your day. Stay out of the snow there. Well, then, again, Sam McKewon, some snow coming down here on Dodge. I know. How dare we? How dare Mother Nature do this to us?
That is just awful news.
I know. No fun. I thought it was a little interesting what he had to say about Fidone. I'd kind of been sitting on that over the weekend because Fidone was obviously one that is going to live in Husker lore history of like what could have been, of what his expectation was entering the high recruitment status, the turning point in what felt like another recruitment win under the time with Frost. And to have him be good with moving on and say, you know what, I'm good. I don't think that that's anything to say against Fidone necessarily, but maybe just I think it should be another wake-up call just for traditional Husker fans, the traditionalists, right? The old school fans. They don't need to prove anymore, college football players, I should say, don't need to prove anymore that, oh, well, I still have unfinished business in college. And I think Sam put it very, very fittingly. When he was ready to go, he's ready to move on. And it just happened to be that this was the time to do it. Timing was a little bit interesting. Obviously, it took a little bit longer to come to that decision, but I think that comes with a lot of conversations and what can move forward. And you never know how long those conversations take on either side. From agents, from evaluators, from NIL, prospective income. All that's kind of tough.
If someone says you're ready, what? Who are you to say no?
Yeah, right? Well, it's like, you can have that conversation with your significant other. Hey, should we get engaged? Should we, get married? Should we have a kid? Should we do that? Or you could just spring it on them. You can do one or the other. There's ways to do this, and there's a process. And something tells me the way that the length of time it took, Fidone probably did his due diligence and also made sure that his relationships were sound on every side of the aisle. So I'll take that, and I'll agree with Sam, too. I think it was probably in best fit party for both that Fidone takes his talents onto the NFL. Wish him the best as well. All right, when we return, more football talk, more snow talk. Ooh. Who knows? Oh, there goes the snow. Already gone. But we'll have plenty more coming up here on 1620 The Zone and the Conner Happer Show. 1620 The Zone, Conner Happer Show. Austin Jacobsen in for the Hap. And as fast as the snow came when Sam was talking, it is now departed. How sad. How sad.
Good. Get out of here, snow.
Whoa.
Don't nobody want you.
Anti-snow, Josh.
Yeah. Bold stance by me, I know.
I hate that. I thought snow was good.
Snow is good.
No? Not for this show.
No.
Not for it. I asked Sam this. I'm curious for you. Maybe you've already talked about this a little bit, but what's your dream Super Bowl lineup here with the 4 teams left?
4 teams left.
Yeah.
Well,
should we power rank them?
Ooh.
I think we should power rank them, right? Let's power rank. So the possibilities are Chiefs Commanders, Chiefs Eagles, Bills Commanders, Bills Eagles. Right?
Yes, I believe you're correct there.
There's only so many scenarios. I'm good with the math in that sense.
Well, before the playoffs started, we said, look at all these fun combinations. We're probably staring down the barrel of a Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl because that's the least fun option.
Why is that the least fun? What do you mean by that?
I've seen it before. I don't.
And arguably, this is the
team
worst version.
Neither team's excited.
This would be like a 10-3 game between the two. The only new addition is Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
But we don't even have the thrill of a Kadarius Toney halfway through. The Chiefs should re-sign Kadarius Toney if they do play the Eagles, just for like let's make this as hard as possible.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to ultimate experience this game.
I mean, Sam thought he was alone in wanting a Commanders-Bills Super Bowl. I think that'd be pretty fun, pretty different.
I think that's like 90% of the country probably rooting for it.
Big meteor Super Bowl if it's Chiefs-Eagles?
Yeah, big meteor Super Bowl.
Okay.
Yep. But what would do the best numbers? And like, if you're the
Chiefs
NFL,
Eagles would do the best numbers. 2 big brands.
Yeah. And a repeat.
2 big cities.
But then arguably everyone would be more interested in the Commanders Bills, right? I think Bills Eagles would be up there because then you have the team that could never beat the Chiefs finally overcoming them, and the Eagles who couldn't beat the Chiefs the first time. So somehow Kansas City's still like woven into that narrative. But I mean, this is just Chiefs porn right now. The people are just like, oh, keep talking about us.
Keep talking.
How could it never be about us?
Keep disrespecting us. We live rent free in your heads.
I would go, I think personally for me, I would go Bills, Eagles 1, Bills, Commanders 2, Chiefs, Eagles 3, Chiefs, Commanders 4. Just because I think of Chiefs, Commanders, it would be so obvious. Not obvious. I don't want to say obvious, but it would feel so much for 2 weeks that we were leading into a Chiefs blowout.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it would just be like, oh, great. Give them the 3-peat.
A 2-week coronation of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes. Yeah. That would be, and again, I'm not a Chiefs fan, but that would feel so insufferable just for 2 weeks. It'd be like, okay, how much more gloating can we do about the potential 3-peat, that's going to be coming for the Chiefs once again? That sounds right to me. I can see where everyone's coming with Bills Commanders 1, though, because then it's like, oh, the new fresh hip thing, right? Everyone wants to try something new.
It'd be so weird.
It would be. It would be a lot of points, though. That'd be a really high-scoring Super Bowl.
Bills Eagles would be fun.
Yeah,
I think because we've talked about how kind of weird a team the Eagles are, where it just feels like they're on the verge of collapse all the time. But they do score the ball. They do. Saquon Barkley is exciting to watch.
And a matchup between Saquon Barkley potentially hurdling, running over, and spinning around defenders while Josh Allen just pushes the joystick down as far into the floor as he possibly can. That does sound fun. That's a highlight reel Super Bowl between those two teams, right? Like that's when you can see it gets like the 10.5-minute YouTube like version from the NFL channel where it's like, watch the highlights, and it's like a long clip. Whereas like Chiefs and Eagles feels like it's like 2.5 minutes and it's mostly punts.
I agree. I think. How do they keep doing this? God. They move the ball when it's time to move the ball, but they seem so easy to stop.
Every under would hit too. Every single under would hit if it's also. And I like Mike bringing this up too. Not going to say what he put it in the chat. But I like the New Orleans reference too. Like, which team would you most like to see have fun in New Orleans? Honestly, the Eagles' insanity in New Orleans plus the Bills Mafia together.
Oh,
that would be tough.
Okay.
Right? But if you're going off of pure, like, I can't believe we finally made it, Commanders Bills fans, they would just party in arms for 2 weeks, right? They'd probably hope the game ends in a tie. They'd all be friends and buddies by the end of it. I don't think that there would be any bad blood between the two.
I think Scott Norwood would probably be running around like, oh my gosh, Washington, Buffalo in the Super Bowl, they're going to drag my name in the mud for 2 weeks.
Isn't it crazy that the Commanders are a franchise that has legitimately won Super Bowls? They're like a traditional NFL power, and yet we feel so bad for them. We've kind of categorized them in the same way we have Buffalo, where it's like, oh,
that was against the Giants. I'm sorry, old heads.
Come on, Scott Norwood.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
I knew it. I just don't want to say it.
You should have.
You did correct me earlier, so I should have. That's my bad. I'll be better. I'll be better about that. But I don't know why it feels like maybe it's because the Commanders have been so bad for those like 3 decades, 4 decades, however long it's been.
They had a name change in there. Like it doesn't even though it's the same color scheme, like it often doesn't feel like the same franchise.
Which, by the way, there's an alternate universe where there's still the football team in this, and that's the universe I want to live in.
Football team in the Super Bowl.
Could you imagine? And now, your Washington football team. That sounds fantastic.
I really hope the Utah Hockey Club makes the Stanley Cup Finals.
We could have had the ultimate year of sports. Where's the Washington football team?
Hockey club.
We need like the Toronto basketball squad.
Yeah.
Just keep on adding them in. I'm trying to think of just like any other. I think we can all agree it's going to be Chiefs Eagles, right? Like that's where everyone's kind of like leaning towards, and everyone's like fearing for that, and that's what's going to end up happening.
Connor was right before this whole playoff started.
Hashtag Connor was right.
Yep.
Was Connor right?
Start the campaign now.
Should get the plane with the message on the back of it. How expensive are those, by the way? I mean, they can't be like ridiculously expensive, but they can't be necessarily cheap either, right? They're doing it at Giants games. You also have to worry about like the National Guard and like the legality of it, right? Because you can't just be flying out in the open anywhere. I assume you can't just like fly a plane like over Omaha that says, whatever.
You'd have to schedule it in advance. This is from aerialmessages.com. Personal banner towing rate.
Okay.
All inclusive. It varies on location. $950 to $1,500.
That's kind of a steal.
That's going to get you a 30 to 40 character banner, 5 passes over your predetermined location.
Okay.
You'll get updates via text message. I don't necessarily want my pilot texting and flying. You can also add on a logo or picture of your choice for $500.
Okay. I like all of this. These are very good. Probably do that for like my wedding reception. It's outdoor. Just get one of those just to fly over.
What would it say?
I don't know. Can't say, will you marry me?
Yeah.
That's too late. That'd be tough.
Are you going to have some,
probably say Ohio State money line?
some, couples always like hashtag their.
Yeah, that's got to stop. That has to come to an end. I'm so sick of that.
Let's blend our names together and hashtag it. Like you're marrying into my family. We're going to be the camp family.
Yeah.
Like it's we're going camping.
I had there was one that I didn't go to, but I saw over the interwebs, and it was like they were marrying into the worst family. So it was WURST.
Oh.
And their hashtag was just the worst.
Yeah.
And I hated it. That was so stupid.
We can stop that now.
Yes.
Everybody.
It's okay. And honestly, no one even uses the hashtag anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good way for, Big Brother to find you if you want to use those hashtags.
Oh.
TikTok, RIP, by the way. It's back. It's fine. You big on the TikTok game?
No.
Really?
I'm an IG Reels man.
I respect that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a real man. Real men use IG Reels.
And also here, let me show you my age. I let Facebook whatever the hell they call theirs.
What do they call those?
It's probably Rheel's because it's owned by Meta, right?
Yeah, I'll check this for you. It is Rhule.
I let it give me Steve Harvey clips from Family Feud.
You have the correct algorithm.
I've trained the algorithm to only give me two things. It gives me Steve Harvey clips from Family Feud and podcast clips from what's her name? Kylie Kelsey.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Very good.
Those are the two things I get.
Your algorithm is pristine.
Yeah.
Very good. Andy in the chat says, have it fly over and say no open bar. I like that. That's good. Mike's also saying, get one that says Conner Happer Show during the CWS.
Now there's a marketing
That's
idea.
A good idea, Mike. That's a good one.
There's always a plumber or something that does that. And I'm like, what's the ROI?
Mike adds, or maybe Nebrasketball is good.
What a troll that would be in June.
That would be great.
Dunk on Nebrasketball fans.
Saw Wolfman Saturday. I'm curious. What was the Wolfman like?
Yeah, it was very meh.
Yeah. You still tweeting out your reviews? I haven't seen. I guess my algorithm might be messed up if I'm not seeing them.
Yeah, they're out there. I went through a period late in the summer, early fall where
gave up.
I just hated movies.
What movie did it for you? Which one did it for you?
See, it wasn't one. It was a constant barrage of, let me give this a try, and it was bad. Let me give this a try, and it was bad.
Yep.
I just hated movies.
Yeah. I'm starting the Mission Impossible rewatch train here soon.
Okay.
So I'm very pumped about that. So be on the lookout for that. Should I steal your tweet format?
No.
I'll CC you in it.
You
if
can
you
have
wish.
it. Yeah, you can
okay.
have it.
All right.
That's fine.
You don't have a trademark or anything on there?
I don't have Twitter. No, everyone can review things on Twitter.
How many characters could I have for the plane? 40 characters? Should I do it over plane and fly it overhead of Omaha?
MI1. Good start. Great groundwork. 3 out of 5 or whatever.
Whatever 40 characters will get me.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. Last thing I had for you today, before we get to what to watch in the poll questions. Are we still trying to pigeonhole like some of the quarterback conversation we had from like the mid 2000s where we're like Patrick Mahomes is Tom Brady, so-and-so is Manning, so-and-so is, and so on and so forth?
Yes, I think we are.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay. So we can still agree that Brady and Mahomes are 1-1, right? They're still up there.
Right.
Who's Manning then? Because Manning needed a Super Bowl, but eventually beat Mahomes. So if Allen does it Sunday and wins a Super Bowl, he becomes Peyton Manning in that scenario?
I think so.
But then here's where it gets tricky, because Ben Roethlisberger had 2 Super Bowls in that time frame during Peyton's one, and then also during Brady's extended run. So who becomes Roethlisberger, or do you throw him out? And then someone just becomes Phillip Rivers and another becomes Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers. Like Roethlisberger has to fit in this equation somewhere.
Is there an Eli Manning in there somebody who beats the Chiefs?
See, that's where I always get confused with this, because some people always bring it up and they seem to forget that there were quarterbacks in the NFC that also won titles during that run, which was, Manning and Drew Brees. But they always seem to pigeonhole that it's only the AFC quarterbacks, because the one I always see is Brady, Manning, Roethlisberger, Rivers.
Yeah.
Which Rivers to me is obvious. I think Phillip Rivers, this is by far the only time that I think that they're probably in the same conversation of, they're the same quarterback. Phillip Rivers and Lamar Jackson are kind of the same in that sense.
Yeah.
Can't overcome any of the top teams, but they're always one of the best. They win their division like regularly, and everyone's like, this could be their year. I'm picking the Ravens. I'm picking the Chargers. And then they just never break through and never do it.
Right. Not sure what Joe Burrow is.
Yeah. See, Burrow and Manning just makes more sense to me. Roethlisberger, Allen makes more sense, like just in like in fit and form and how they play and that sort of thing. But then if you add in like storyline and elements and all that sort of thing, that's where it gets confusing. That's where I get all muddled up and I'm not really sure where it goes.
Is Matt Stafford the Roethlisberger? Mike asks.
Is Stafford Eli Manning?
He got the one.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's a good question. Matt Stafford's not a bad choice for Roethlisberger because technically he's stolen, but he's on the wrong side of the conference though, right?
Right.
Let's carry this over. We'll see what we can come up with. I want to see what's the chat got for us, and we'll see what else we got. We've got what to watch poll questions all coming up, and then crossover to follow right here on 1620 The Zone. This is the Conner Happer Show. All right, 1620 The Zone, Conner Happer Show. I'm Austin Jacobsen. Thank you all for joining us, having a blast and having some fun. We'll have a crossover coming up in just a moment with, I believe it's Josh and Jack?
That's right.
Woo!
More Applebee's chatter.
Oh, great. Yeah. Listen, if you are not a fan of the crossover between Gary, Matt, and Austin, who knows what could happen when we cross over to more Applebee's chatter.
It was just such high energy this morning that
I
wasn't ready for it.
I'm sorry. You were pretty quiet this morning. I apologize. We didn't ease you into that, did we?
I'm under the weather. The energy's low to begin with.
That's okay.
And then the two young people just took off right when we got in here.
Are you fighting the kid sickness too?
Yeah.
Sorry. It's ravaged the Odson household.
Don't have kids.
No. Fair enough. All right, Josh. What to watch? What we got?
We'll check the poll.
Check the poll. First. Sorry, my bad. I haven't done this in a while.
It's okay.
My bad.
It's okay. Hold my hand. I'll get you through it.
Let me start again. Josh, poll questions.
Yes. At Happer Show on Twitter. Do hockey players have big butts?
And
most voted on poll question of the day. 64% said yes.
Respect.
Do you shower after pickleball?
Do we only have crossover questions?
Yes.
Dang.
64% of the audience said yes. Of course you shower after pickleball.
Yeah. Why not?
Gary seemed to think no. Like you're not exerting yourself that much,
which does concern me. I have many questions about the hygiene.
Okay,
but that's okay. You know, maybe he's just not working up a hard enough appetite after the old pickle.
Sounds like he's letting his pickle partner do everything.
That's true. He's just not playing in the kitchen.
And finally, can you pickle in Crocs? 57% of the audience said yes.
Okay.
You can pickle in Crocs.
Good work. That's what we like to hear.
That's a shocking upset.
Blast that with a quick retweet right now. That's exactly what I want to hear.
Cannot believe the audience allowed pickling in Crocs.
Shout out Platt Cat. They wanted the conversation to end 5 minutes ago. That's okay. It carried on for 30 minutes. Which also, I got another stat update. I shouldn't have said out loud on the air that I was losing followers. Because my friend tracked it once again. He goes, you're down to 31 lost followers since the show began.
Wow, that's a bad show.
It was the John Harbaugh, wasn't it? That's what happened.
It was you're hot taking all over this place today.
Yep. I can't help it.
I don't have the energy to stop you.
Listen, it's not my fault. I've just been brewing and sitting on it since Sunday. Mark Andrews actually had me feeling a certain way. I don't like that guy.
That guy.
It's
all his fault.
It really is. If he would have just held on to some balls, it would have been totally
Lamar
fine.
overcame the mistakes Lamar made.
Yeah.
He could not overcome the mistakes Mark Andrews made.
Yeah. How dare he? All right. What to watch? What do we got?
We have college football tonight. It's a national championship game from Atlanta.
From who?
6:30 start on ESPN, Ohio State and Notre Dame. You can watch the Field Pass with Pat McAfee on ESPN2. The Skycast on ESPN News, the Command Center on ESPNU, and don't worry if the game's a blowout at halftime because you're going to get a new song from Travis Scott.
Whoa!
On ESPN at halftime. Yeah, I know.
Is he the Fiend artist? Who is he?
I was hoping you would tell me who Travis Scott is.
Who is Travis Scott?
I
think he's married to Rihanna, isn't he?
No, that's A$AP Rocky.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
I'm only familiar with Travis Scott because of the unfortunate incidents in his career.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah. That was.
Oh, yeah. He did Astro World.
Yeah.
I should know that. Oh, he did Sicko Mode.
Yeah.
That's the song of my college career.
Well, there you go.
I wouldn't have graduated from UNK without Sicko Mode.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't be, I can honestly and firmly say I would not be here where I am today without Sicko Mode. Appreciate your work, Travis.
People forget.
Yep.
College basketball, Georgetown at Villanova, 5 o'clock on FS1. 5:30 on Peacock. It is Rutgers at Penn State. The women's basketball doing a little, it's not a tournament, but it's one of those invite things in Newark, New Jersey today. Number 1 UCLA against number 25 Baylor. That tips off here in just about 10 minutes on Big Fox. It'll be followed by number 7 Texas against number 8 Maryland, again in Newark. And 7 o'clock on BTN tonight, the Nebraska women host Wisconsin. NBA doubleheader about to tip off on TNT. Memphis hosts the Minnesota Timberwolves. That'll be followed by Celtics Warriors at 4 o'clock, as God intended. NHL on NHL Network, Lightning Maple Leafs at 6:30. And as always, on MLK Day, I tell you to watch the movie Selma. It is streaming on Paramount Plus. It's the life story of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his followers as they prepare to march from Selma to Montgomery.
How historically accurate is it?
I have no idea. It's a pretty good movie.
Okay. Who plays MLK?
David Oyelowo.
Oh, very nice. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
When did that movie come out? When did Selma come out?
2014. 14?
Wow. Gosh, I remember that like coming out in theaters.
Yeah.
And Oprah Winfrey's in it. Cuba Gooding Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And Tim Roth. Who could forget? Tim Roth is in it. And Common. Man, it's got a lineup of some of the greatest actors of our time.
Common and John Legend won an Oscar. For,
Did they really?
For the theme song.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I would not have believed you if you would have said that would have been a common Oscar for his performance.
Common has an Oscar. 3-6 Mafia has an Oscar.
Does the Insane Clown Posse have one?
No.
They should.
4.
I wonder if Nickelback has one.
No, they do not.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I don't know. They had the Spider-Man song.
They do say that a hero can save us.
Oh, they have not won an Oscar. That's such a shame.
Were they even nominated?
Were they nominated? Nominated. Let's see.
No chance.
Why do you hate Nickelback so much?
I don't hate Nickelback.
They have not been nominated for an Oscar.
They're not to the level of 3-6 Mafia.
I love... That's an insane take. Are you serious? That's a real thing?
3-6 Mafia has an Oscar.
No, don't. No. We're gonna end this show on this debate. You're gonna go 3-6 Mafia.
They have an Oscar
over for that. That's the only basis of your argument.
That's right.
Does 3-6 Mafia have one of the highest selling records of all time?
They don't have to. They have an Oscar.
Dumb.
There's critical acclaim and mass appeal.
You've got to be
two
kidding.
different things.
Yeah. So, come on.
Nickelback is good.
That one hurt. I actually felt. Now I know what it feels like to be a Nebrasketball fan. How dare you? Just gonna Google is Nickelback good. Let's see what comes up. Oh, top one. Sorry, but Nickelback's actually awesome. Interesting. Man. Sorry to hear that.
I guess if you want to side with big tech, that's fine, Austin.
It was Reddit. That was the main top link.
Rest my case.
Like, is Nickelback good live? Ooh, they're unpredictable. What does that mean? What does that mean? It's good? I don't understand. That's a interesting take. So if you got anything, for me, you can hit me up at Austin Jacobsen on the old X, the Everything app, as everyone knows. It's where you can get all your TikToks these days. If you deleted the app like I did, unfortunately, IG Reels till I die. It was a bad mistake. I didn't realize it was coming back. I was a bit rash.
They were even telling people on the news, like, don't delete the app because you never know what could happen.
I quite literally got the notification at 10:15, and I was like, yeah, just get rid of it. Bang, out, done. And it came back the next morning, and I'm not gonna admit defeat. I'm not gonna admit that I was wrong. Why should I? Why should I admit that I was wrong? Trump said it was fine. Trump said it was okay. All right. Conner Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone. We got crossover coming up next, and we've got Josh and Jack hanging out with us here on 1620 The Zone.